Chapter 3193. The Wang clan, including everyone else, had yet to realize one thing, and that was the North King's attitude. In everyone's opinion, the North King was indebted to the Wang family, so he would definitely help them. Moreover, the Wang family had the jade pendant. But who would have thought that the North King had wanted to touch the Wang family for a long time, and this was the best opportunity. The North King didn't even need to do anything. He just needed to take advantage of the situation and take Xiao Chen's hand to destroy the Wang family. This was called digging his own grave. Dong Wang smiled at the calm North King. You have to give me an explanation after this. No problem, but I need you to play a part with me. Since he had used Xiao Chen as a weapon, he definitely had to compensate him. This was understandable, and the North King had already prepared for it. But hearing this, Dong Wang shook his head helplessly. You've even included me in your calculations. If I stay in the North Palace, the Wang family will definitely come looking for me. Fine, but after this, you have to let me go to the North Palace's treasury. Don't worry, I won't take too much. How about 3 treasures? Deal. The two sovereigns quickly reached an agreement. On this day, a battle between sovereigns broke out in the North Palace. For some reason, the North King and Dong Wang started fighting. The sudden battle between sovereigns shocked everyone. Why did the North King and the East King start fighting? But soon, someone guessed that it was because of the Wang family. The North King wanted to help, but Xiao Chen and the others were from the East Palace, so the East King stopped him. This led to the battle between the two sovereigns. However, the battle didn't take place in the sky above the North Palace. Otherwise, with the might of the sovereigns, even if the North Palace was protected by countless high-level arrays, it wouldn't be able to withstand the terrifying aftermath of the battle. While the East King and the North King were fighting, the cultivators of the North Palace didn't act rashly. They were from the North Palace, and without the North King's order, they wouldn't interfere. The only ones who didn't were the 2 War Ancestor realm ancestors of the Wang family. At this moment, watching the North King and Dong Wang fight in their residence, the 2 of them looked solemn. The Battle of the Emperors has broken out. Is it really that big? One of them said doubtfully. It was clearly a fight between the younger generation, but it even involved the Battle of the Emperors. The other Wang family ancestor didn't speak. He frowned slightly and nobody knew what he was thinking. However, it was obvious that he wasn't in a good mood. He didn't know why, but his instincts told him that something was wrong. From the looks of it, the North Emperor wanted to help the Wang clan, but the East Emperor tried to stop him. That was why the 2 emperors started fighting. But wasn't this a little too fast? Right now, it was merely a battle between the younger generation. Not to mention the North Emperor, even the 2 great ancestors of the Wang clan had yet to make a move. There was no need for the North Emperor to be so anxious. The situation had not reached the point where the North Emperor needed to intervene. However, the North Emperor and the East Emperor had started to fight. Moreover, the 2 of them had only exchanged a single strike before they disappeared into the void, and no one could find any trace of them. It looked like they were going to fight in the void, but no one knew what was going on. Everything was very strange, especially the North Emperor's actions. Send a message back. Tell the clan to be careful. After thinking about it for a while, the great ancestor could not figure out some of the problems. In the end, he could only say this. It was not suitable for them to intervene in the current situation. The incident in the North Palace did not spread, but the northern spiritual realm was bustling with noise and excitement. At that moment, the northern spiritual realm's periphery was filled with blood, and the thick smell of blood drifted in the air. As for the major forces that had gathered outside the northern spiritual realm, other than some who had voluntarily withdrawn, the rest were all killed by Xiao Chen, Lin Yun, and Lai Wan. Even for the Wang clan, Xiao Chen did not hold back. All of them, including the 2 Holy Ancestor realm ancestors, were killed. Everything happened too quickly. Xiao Chen said that they would die if they did not leave within 3 breaths. Some forces chose to withdraw, but some forces chose to believe in the Wang clan. Or rather, they did not think that Xiao Chen would have the guts to kill so wantonly in the North region. He didn't even put the Wang clan in his eyes. Unfortunately, these people's thoughts were completely wrong. It was not that Xiao Chen did not have the guts, but that he was extremely daring. He said 3 breaths, and it was 3 breaths. The powerhouses of the major forces who did not retreat were all killed. Not a single one escaped. Looking at the corpses on the ground, the surrounding people, regardless of whether they were young skyprides or powerhouses of the older generation, were all dumbfounded. How dare he? It's over. This matter has really gotten out of hand. So many people have died. This is really going to poke a hole in the sky. 13. A total of 13 forces have all died. Countless people gasped. Xiao Chen and the other 2 were too lawless. The people sent by the 13 forces had all died here. Without a doubt, the North region would definitely be in turmoil. Originally, they had come to denounce them. However, they did not expect such an outcome in the end. This is going to be interesting. Sigh, like father, like son. I originally thought that Brother Xiao Lao's list was already very big. Who would have thought that this is just a small matter in front of a big one? Even Wu Zhan and Lu Fangtian could not help but sigh. Xiao Chen was indeed the father. He was much more daring than Xiao Yao and Xiao Lao. Xiao Yao and Xiao Lao had only killed the skyprides of the younger generation. Strictly speaking, this could only be considered a fight between the younger generation. However, Xiao Chen had killed powerhouses of the older generation. Moreover, they did not belong to any force at all. As long as they did not leave, they would all die. This was not something that could be resolved by saying that it was a fight between the younger generation. It was no exaggeration to say that if such a thing happened to any force, it would result in a fight to the death. It was impossible for any force to let such a matter go, not to mention that there was a colossus like the Wang family among them. However, he did not care about the thoughts of the people around him. After killing these people, Xiao Chen's expression was calm. He did not look nervous at all. He even turned his head to look at Lin Yun. Seeing Xiao Chen's expression, Lin Yun instantly understood what he meant. The 2 of them had been together for many years and had an extraordinary tacit understanding. Many times, Lin Yun knew what Xiao Chen was thinking with just a glance. "You won't," she spoke helplessly. However, before Lin Yun could finish her sentence, Xiao Chen smiled and nodded. "Since we have already offended them, we naturally have to take the initiative to attack. The spring wind can't blow away all the wildfires." After killing so many people, Xiao Chen did not even think of stopping. He actually wanted to take the initiative to attack and completely uproot these forces. Begging for collection, begging for monthly votes, begging for recommendations. Chapter 3194. Hearing Xiao Chen and Lin Yun's conversation, even Lai Wan's heart pounded wildly. These 2 lunatics were really bold. This was the North region, and they actually wanted to take the initiative to attack and uproot these forces? Even a fool could imagine that once Xiao Chen and Lin Yun really did that, they would probably become the public enemy of the entire North region. Moreover, would the North Royal Palace allow Xiao Chen and the rest to do as they pleased in the North region? That was impossible. However, Lai Wan definitely did not know that old man Dong Huang had already used a secret technique to send a message to Xiao Chen when everyone attacked just now. It was very simple. They could attack the Wang family, but the other forces could not. Xiao Chen and the rest could destroy the Wang family, but the North Royal Palace would not interfere. This was exactly what Xiao Chen wanted. Moreover, Xiao Chen also knew a little about the Wang family and knew that this family actually relied on the North Royal Palace to rise. However, the North Royal Palace was getting more and more brazen. This was probably the North Royal Palace's intention. It was precisely because of this that Xiao Chen was so brazen. Since the North Royal Palace had agreed to it, there was no problem. As for the other forces, once the Wang family was destroyed, would they still dare to step forward? Therefore, looking at Lai Wan, who looked a little helpless, Xiao Chen smiled and said, "Don't worry. This is the will of the higher-ups. Lai Wan was taken aback when he heard this, but he quickly reacted. Who else could Xiao Chen's higher-ups other than Old Man Dong Huang? Since the Old Man Dong Huang had agreed, there should be no problem. Moreover, although Old Man Dong Huang always looked kind and benevolent, according to Lai Wan, he was an old man with many tricks. Since he dared to say this, he probably had already reached an agreement with the North Royal Palace. Without any worries, Lai Wan naturally did not say anything else. Xiao Chen and Lin Yan also came to Qin Shuru, Lu Bingning, and the rest. Go back first, but don't go to the Northern Imperial Palace for now. Go to the Star Island of the Eastern Imperial Palace. Heading to the Wang clan, Xiao Chen would naturally not bring his family. Furthermore, Xiao Chen would not feel at ease if they were to return to the Northern Imperial Palace. Thus, it would naturally be best for them to return to their own Star Island. After all, it was the territory of the Eastern Emperor Palace, and it was protected by a formation. Even if a warrior of the War Ancestor realm attacked, it would be able to withstand 1 or 2 attacks. It would be enough for Xiao Chen to rush back to support. Father, where are you going? Go and deal with your matters. Xiao Lao obviously wanted to go with Xiao Chen, but he gave up after being glared at by Xiao Chen. Go back and stay put. If you cause any more trouble, see how I'll deal with you. Before he left, Xiao Chen warned Xiao Lao fiercely. In response, Xiao Lao nodded repeatedly. Looking at Lu Bingning, Qin Shuru, and the rest led them away. Xiao Chen and the rest rushed to the Wang clan. At the same time, the rest of the people who were present gradually relaxed. However, they all knew that this was just the beginning. It's over. I'm afraid that the Wang clan will not rest until one of them is dead. Needless to say, with the Wang clan's character, I'm afraid that they will ask the North King to take action personally. Many people guessed that the Wang clan would probably ask for the North King's favor. This time, the Wang clan had suffered too great a loss. Who would have thought that a group of people from the eastern region would be so audacious? Compared to the rest, Lu Fangtian appeared to be calmer. Wu Zhan asked curiously. What's wrong? What? I just feel that it's a little strange. Let's go, it's better not to stay in a troublesome place. After saying that, the two of them left directly. Whoever got involved in this matter would only be in trouble. However, in Lu Fangtian's heart, he seemed to have realized something. It was mainly because the North King's actions were too strange. He did not know that the North King and the East King had fought. However, in Lu Fangtian's opinion, if the North King really wanted to protect the Wang clan, he would have taken action long ago. Even if he did not take action personally, he would at least send the powerhouses from the North Imperial Palace to stop them. However, until now, the North Imperial Palace had not taken any action at all. It was as if they were watching the Wang clan being destroyed. This made people think too much. The situation was getting weirder and weirder. As for the Wang clan, it could be said that they were in an uproar. The 3 old ancestors of the Wang clan, as well as several elders and deacons, all had their life cards shattered. These people were all people who had gone to the northern spiritual realm. Without a doubt, something must have happened in the northern spiritual realm. All the people sent by the Wang clan were killed. At this moment, the powerhouses of the Wang clan were sitting together in the hall of the Wang clan. Everyone had a solemn look on their faces. It could be said that this was the first time in many years that the Wang clan had suffered such a heavy blow. In total, the Wang clan only had 5 old ancestors of the Divine Ancestor realm. Now that 3 of them had died, even the Wang clan could not bear it. Damn it. It must be those guys from the East region. It turns out that they have the confidence. No wonder they dare to act so recklessly in the northern spiritual realm. No matter what, this is still the North region. How can the people from the East region be so presumptuous? Patriarch, use the Jade token. A group of Wang clan elders proposed to use the Jade token to ask the North King to kill all the people from the East region. However, in the face of everyone's request, the Patriarch of the Wang clan remained silent. Perhaps it was because the situation had completely blown up. As the Patriarch of the Wang clan, he had calmed down. Previously, he had completely suppressed his anger due to the pain of losing his son. There was no other way. Now that things had developed to this point, if he did not handle it well, the Wang clan would be destroyed. Now, compared to the hatred in his heart, the most important thing was to protect the Wang clan. "Enough," he said in a low voice. Hearing this, everyone present shut their mouths and looked around. Finally, the patriarch of the Wang clan spoke. "Let's inform the two ancestors first and see what they have to say." It was not that the North King's favor could not be used, but it was not omnipotent. Now, it was better to see what the two ancestors of the Wang clan who were in the North Palace had to say. After all, they were powerhouses of the War Ancestor realm. Even if they wanted to ask the North King to take action, it would be better for them to do it. With regards to Wang Zheng's words, no one objected. This was indeed the best method at the moment. Seeing that no one objected, Wang Zheng spoke again. "Also, send someone to the Northern Spiritual Realm to find out what happened and report to me as soon as possible." The Wang clan still had no idea what happened in the Northern Spiritual Realm. They had to find out as soon as possible. This was not a difficult task for the Wang clan. There were people from the Wang clan or their subsidiary forces in the Northern Spiritual City. As long as they investigated, they would be able to find out. Of course, the Wang clan would never have thought that after killing so many people, Xiao Chen and the others did not stop. Instead, they were rushing towards the Wang clan. Begging for collection, begging for monthly votes, begging for recommendations. End of chapter. Chapter 3195. Wang Jing contacted the two ancestors of the Wang family in the North Royal Palace and sent people to investigate what had happened in the Northern Spiritual Realm. It was not difficult to investigate what had happened outside the Northern Spiritual Realm. After all, there were so many people and so many pairs of eyes watching. It was easy to find someone to ask. Hence, in just 15 minutes, Wang Jing had already understood what had happened. The young skybrides of the Emperor Dong Palace, the direct descendants of the War Ancestor Realm powerhouses, 3 War Ancestor Realm powerhouses. As the news came, Wang Zheng's face became uglier and uglier. Xiao Yao and Xiao Lao, who killed Wang Chang and Wang Xian, were young skybrides from the East region. Their father was the War Ancestor Realm king of the Emperor Dong Palace. At that moment, Wang Jing finally understood why the experts sent by the Wang family were killed so easily by the other party. 3 War Ancestor Realm kings were not something the Wang family could deal with. It could even be said that the entire Wang family did not have the ability to deal with 3 War Ancestor Realm kings at once. The situation was more serious than Wang Jing had imagined. After pondering for a moment, Wang Jing looked at the Wang family elder in front of him and asked, "What did the ancestors say?" "There is no reply yet, but we have already contacted them." The two ancestors had not sent back any news. Wang Jing had no choice but to have a bad feeling. On the other side, in the North Royal Palace, the two ancestors of the Wang family looked grave. One of them said coldly, "The Emperor Dong Palace has gone too far. They dare to kill in the North region. Don't think too much. Let's do it." They were naturally furious about the actions of Xiao Chen and the others. It had been many years since anyone dared to kill the Wang family. However, the other person said in a deep voice, "That's true. But with just the two of us, can we deal with them? Then let's go find the North King, even if we have to use a jade token." Where are you going to find the North King now?" As soon as the words came out, the two of them fell silent. Yes, the North King and East King had fought and then disappeared into the void. It seemed like a great battle had broken out. But now, what could they do even if they had the jade token? Even the North Emperor couldn't find him. Then let's ask the other kings of the North Royal Palace to attack together. I don't believe we can't take down those people from the East region. He gritted his teeth and said, but this method still wouldn't work. Without the North King's order, the people of the North Royal Palace could not attack. Moreover, they had already tried to contact the other kings of the North Royal Palace. However, the answer they received was that without the North Emperor's orders, they couldn't act as they pleased. This was obviously an excuse, but there was nothing he could do about it. Sensing that something was wrong, the Wang family's ancestor, who had remained calm all this while, took a deep breath and said with an ugly expression, "This is probably the most dangerous calamity our Wang clan has ever faced. If we can't get through it, the entire Wang clan will be destroyed. It can't be that exaggerated, right? This is the North region. Could it be that those bastards from the East region can destroy my Wang clan right under the nose of the North Emperor? You still don't understand. The one who attacked the Wang clan was not the Emperor Dong's palace. Could it be? Don't speak nonsense." As expected of an old monster who had lived for so many years, he quickly saw the essence of the matter and even guessed the truth. That's right, the one who really wanted the Wang clan to be destroyed was not Xiao Chen but the North Emperor. They all gasped. If that was the case, then the Wang clan was indeed in danger. The former guardian had now become the person who wanted to destroy the Wang clan. Who would have thought of such a change? The two ancestors of the Wang clan had already guessed it, and so did the other kings of the North Royal Palace. Although the North Emperor did not say anything, those who could become kings were not fools. Because of this, they did not agree to the request of the two ancestors of the Wang clan. Otherwise, as kings of the North Royal Palace, helping them would be a piece of cake. I'm afraid the Wang clan won't be able to get through this calamity. In recent years, the Wang clan has indeed gone overboard. They have crossed the line in many things. Arrogance is bound to bring disaster. However, the Wang clan brought all of this upon themselves. In the residences of the other kings of the North Royal Palace, such discussions were not uncommon. In many people's opinion, the Wang clan was indeed finished this time. The North Royal Palace did not show any signs of making a move. While the Wang clan was speculating, half a day had passed. No one would have thought that Xiao Chen and the others, who had killed so many people, would take the initiative to attack the Wang clan. It was already night. In the land where the Wang clan was located, there was a continent in the center. This was where the Wang clan's land was located. The entire continent was occupied by the Wang clan. This was where the Wang clan truly ruled. It was just like any other night. However, with a good sign, a sword tip suddenly fell from the sky and hit the continent hard. In an instant, the entire continent was split into two halves from the middle. Who is it? The sudden attack naturally attracted the attention of the Wang clan. The Great Formation was activated to protect the entire continent. Wang Zheng and the other experts of the Wang family also rose into the air from various places. They came to the sky above the continent and looked at the three figures in the distance. They were none other than Xiao Chen, Lin Yun, and Lai Wan. Looking at Xiao Chen and the other two, Wang Jing instantly guessed their identities and said coldly, "Does the East Royal Palace have no respect for the North region? How dare you kill my clansmen and come knocking on our door?" His eyes were filled with murderous intent, but his words were filled with slight nervousness and anxiety. After all, the Wang clan was far from being able to deal with three warlord realm experts. As he spoke, Wang Jing transmitted his voice to an elder of the Wang clan beside him. "Quickly contact the first ancestor. Tell him that the clan is under attack and ask him to come back as soon as possible." The Wang clan and the North Royal Palace were connected by a formation. Through this formation, the two first ancestors of the Wang clan could rush over in an instant. They were not afraid of not being able to make it in time. However, it was not difficult to see the arrogance and ignorance of the Wang clan from this formation alone. Regardless of whether it was the North Royal Palace or the East Royal Palace, other than the Wang clan, no other force had ever dared to use a transmission formation to link the two places together. In the Wang clan's view, the original intention of building this transmission formation was for the safety of the clan. It would allow the two first ancestors of the North Royal Palace to return immediately when the clan was in danger. However, they did not consider that this method was also a form of provocation to the North Royal Palace. They directly built a transmission formation right under the nose of the North Royal Palace. Who could stand this? With this transmission formation, wouldn't the Wang clan be able to enter the North Royal Palace at any time without any hindrance? Begging for collection, begging for monthly votes, begging for recommendations. Chapter 3196. Therefore, from the actions of the Wang family, it was not difficult to see that their destruction was inevitable. They had crossed the line and continuously challenged the North King's bottom line. It was not surprising that they had fallen to such a state. Xiaochen contacted the two ancestors of the Wang family in the North Royal Palace. At the same time, he spoke calmly. No need to talk nonsense. Let's do it. However, the Wang family is not bad. The grade of the array is not low. It will take some effort to break it. It's just a layer of tortoiseshell. We can break it easily. Let's do it. The entire continent where the Wang family was located was enveloped by a huge array. This array was of a very high grade. Even if a divine ancestor powerhouse attacked, it would be difficult to break it. However, for Xiaochen and the other two, although it was a little troublesome, it was not a big deal. They could break it with some effort. Without thinking much, Xiaochen and the other two attacked directly and broke the array with brute force. They had no choice. The three of them were not array masters and did not know how to break the array. Therefore, they could only break it with brute force. The three attacks landed heavily on the array, causing it to shake violently in an instant. Looking at the array that was on the verge of collapse, Wang Zheng's face darkened. It was the first time in so many years that someone dared to attack the Wang family. Family head, this array can't stop them. A Wang family elder at the side said with a gloomy face. Although the Wang family's array was of an extremely high grade, it was still impossible to stop Xiaochen and the other two. The three war ancestor powerhouses were far from what the Wang family's array could handle. Based on the current situation, it could only hold off Xiaochen and the other two for half a day. However, Wang Jing was not too worried about this. Half a day was enough. What are you afraid of? When the ancestors return, they will not be able to do anything. At that time, we will definitely make these guys pay the price. This time, even if we ask the North King for help, our Wang family will not let this go. Even now, Wang Jing still did not see the situation clearly. To put it bluntly, Wang Jing was really unqualified as the head of the family. It could be said that he, as the head of the family, was responsible for the development of the Wang family to this stage. It was precisely because Wang Zheng's personality was too arrogant and conceited that the entire Wang family was like this. Now that he was about to die, Wang Jing actually wanted the North Emperor to help him. This was simply a fool's dream. Even if he had the jade pendant now, where could he find the North Emperor? As Wang Zheng and the others spoke, Xiaochen and the others did not stop their attacks. With the continuous bombardment, the array protecting the Wang family became increasingly difficult to hold on. He could collapse at any moment. At this rate, he might not even be able to last half a day. This tortoiseshell is really hard. Lai Wan grumbled in dissatisfaction as he was unable to break through the tortoiseshell after a series of attacks. Alright, they spent a lot of resources to create this magic array. However, it won't be able to last much longer. Lin Yan didn't really care about this. The Wang family must have spent a lot of effort and resources on the formation. Moreover, to be able to become a powerful force in the North region, second only to the North Royal Palace, the Wang family must have spent a lot of effort and resources. There were even 2 war ancestor realm rankers in the clan. How could they be simple? It was normal that they couldn't break it in an instant. However, it didn't matter as it would just consume more energy. Moreover, the Wang family couldn't run away. They were just turtles in a jar. Just as Xiaochen and the others were frantically trying to break the array, a teleportation array lit up in the depths of the Wang family. 2 elders appeared out of thin air. These 2 were naturally the 2 ancestors of the Wang family, war ancestor realm rankers. After receiving the news, they immediately rushed back through the teleportation array. They directly came to Wang Zheng's side and coldly glanced at Xiaochen outside the array. One of them said coldly to Wang Zheng. What's going on? Ancestor, not only did these people kill our Wang family, but they also dared to come here and boast shamelessly that they will destroy our Wang family. They don't know what's good for them. He didn't expect Xiao Chen and the others to be so arrogant. Not only did they kill the Wang family, they even dared to come here. Turning his head, the Wang family ancestor immediately shouted coldly. Xiao Chen, don't go too far. He had naturally seen Xiao Chen and the others before. Not only had he seen them, but they had also fought side by side against the ancient beasts. Facing the Wang family ancestor's angry shout, Xiao Chen didn't stop attacking. He only replied indifferently. Go too far? I don't think so. Humph, Xiao Chen, you bullied our Wang family like this. Do you really think I can't do anything to you? First, you killed our Wang family's young genius, then you killed our experts, and now you are here to provoke us. Xiao Chen, this is the North region, not the East region, the Wang family ancestor said coldly. The ancestor of the Wang clan said coldly. It was obvious that he was not afraid of Xiao Chen and the other two. After all, in his opinion, the Wang family might not be a match for Xiao Chen and the others, but what about the North Imperial Palace? The strength of the entire North Imperial Palace was far from what Xiao Chen and the others could compare to. Moreover, this was the North region. Even the others from the East Imperial Palace were no match for the North Imperial Palace. And he was an expert from the North Imperial Palace. Therefore, in his opinion, Xiao Chen and the others were courting death. Would the other experts from the North Imperial Palace allow them to do as they pleased? However, the other Wang family ancestor didn't speak. He only looked at Xiao Chen and the others with a deep gaze. No one knew what he was thinking. Ha, I really don't know where you get your confidence from. Xiao Chen ignored him, but Lai Wan sneered coldly. The three of them had no intention of stopping. Seeing this, the Wang family ancestor was completely enraged. Seeing that the formation was about to break, a battle was unavoidable. Seeing this, the Wang family ancestor no longer hesitated. Murderous intent gathered in his eyes as he shouted coldly. Since you are courting death, don't blame others. As he spoke, he took out a voice transmission talisman and began to contact the other sovereigns from the North Imperial Palace. In his opinion, Xiao Chen and the others were outsiders. As the kings of the North Imperial Palace, the others definitely wouldn't stand by and do nothing. At that time, everyone would join forces and take down Xiao Chen and the others. Even if they couldn't kill them, they would definitely teach them a lesson they would remember. He was arrogant but not stupid. He knew that the Wang family alone couldn't take down Xiao Chen and the others, so he asked for help from the North Imperial Palace. However, the Wang family ancestors' actions were a joke in Xiao Chen's eyes. It was very simple. The people who wanted to destroy the Wang family this time weren't Xiao Chen and the others. Xiao Chen and the others were just the knives that were pushed out. The person behind the scenes was the Wang family's biggest backer, the North Imperial Palace. Begging for your collection, begging for monthly votes, begging for recommendations. Chapter 3197. Xiao Chen and the other two did not care at all as they watched the ancestor of the Wang family contact the other kings of the Northern Imperial Palace. They knew that the Northern Imperial Palace would not intervene. Since the old man Dong Wang could send them a message, the Northern Emperor must have made arrangements. Moreover, even if the Northern Emperor did not say it, the kings of the Northern Imperial Palace were all smart people. How could they not understand this? Right now, it was probably only the idiots from the Wang family who hadn't reacted yet. Ignoring the Wang family, Xiao Chen and the other two broke the formation as soon as possible. As long as they broke the formation, they could destroy the Wang family directly. On the other side, seeing that Xiao Chen and the other two had no intention of stopping them, the other ancestor of the Wang family frowned more and more. He seemed to have guessed something, but he was not sure at the moment. On the other side, all the kings of the Northern Imperial Palace received the message from the Wang family ancestor. The two kings who were drinking together looked at each other after receiving the message. Then, they smiled bitterly and helplessly. The Wang family is getting worse and worse. Yeah, the two of them are battle ancestor realm kings who have been famous for many years, but they still can't see it clearly. Yeah, they are used to acting like a tyrant. They don't know that this time, the Wang family is about to be destroyed. After receiving the message from the Wang family ancestor, the two of them did not seem to care at all, let alone intervene. Although the Northern Emperor did not say much, they could not see that the Northern Emperor wanted the Wang family to disappear first. Since this was the Northern Emperor's intention, as the kings of the Northern Imperial Palace, how could they disobey? That was why they felt that the Wang family was pitiful. They did not even know that they were about to die. At the same time, in another residence, a king from the Northern Imperial Palace also ignored the message after receiving it. He didn't even care about it and continued to drink his wine. On the other hand, a young man beside him asked in confusion, "Father, do we not need to do anything? This is the Wang family's request for help. If we don't intervene, they probably won't be able to stop the three guys from the eastern region." Hearing his son's words, the king smiled and shook his head. He looked at his only son with disappointment and said slowly, "You still don't understand. How many times have I told you that you can't just look at the surface of things? You are right, father. Let me ask you, what do you think about the Wang family? It's hard to say who's right or wrong in this matter. Originally, it was caused by a fight between the younger generation. However, the Wang family was too overbearing, which caused the situation to escalate continuously. However, those people from the eastern region were a bit too excessive, they even attacked the Wang family. If the Wang family was destroyed, it would indeed make the northern region lose face. So, do you think I should take action? Father, no matter what, the Wang clan is a native force of the northern region, and the two ancestors of the Wang clan are both kings of the Northern Imperial Palace. I think that no matter what, father should step forward." Hearing his son's Sunziz's, the king of the kings Wang. His son was good in all aspects, but it was a pity that his personality was too pure. There were some things that he couldn't understand, or rather, it was hard for him to see the dark side of things. King father's family. Father's words, Wang family people of the Wang family's imperial city. Wang Dong Emperor Wang Emperor Wang. I'm guessing it's because of the Wang clan. Is that really the case? The Wang family has been getting more and more arrogant over the years. They have crossed the line and touched the bottom line. Therefore, no one can save the Wang family this time because the people who want to destroy them are not from the eastern region. At this point, no matter how stupid he was, he should be able to understand a thing or two. Sure enough, as soon as the words came out, the young man was first stunned, then he said somewhat unbelievably, "Father, what do you mean?" He didn't dare to say the rest because it would be disrespectful. The king of the Northern Imperial Palace nodded his head slightly. "You must always know that there is always someone better than you. You must be careful when you do things. Also, don't act rashly. Keep it to yourself." After that, the father and son stopped talking about these things. However, in their hearts, they both knew that the Wang family was really finished this time. No one would help them at all. Even if Xiao Chen and the other two couldn't take down the Wang family, the Northern Emperor would probably secretly intervene. Since the Northern Emperor had already done it, he definitely wouldn't give the Wang family any more chances. The other kings of the Northern Imperial Palace were the same. They all received a request for help from the Wang family's ancestor, but none of them chose to reply. They pretended not to see it and went about their own business. After waiting for a long time without receiving a reply, the expressions of the two Wang family primogenitors in the Wang family started to become a little strange. The Wang family's ancestor who sent the message earlier said suspiciously, "It shouldn't be. Why isn't anyone replying?" In the past, they would have already replied when they sent a message, but this time, no one replied. Impossible. Logically speaking, they were all kings of the Northern Imperial Palace and should have responded. Moreover, this was a matter of life and death for the Wang family. It wasn't a small matter. Before this progenitor could react, the other progenitor's expression grew uglier and uglier. His body trembled slightly as he said something that confused everyone. The Wang family is finished this time. What did you say? How is that possible? This is the northern region, and you and I are the kings of the northern region. How can the three of them destroy the Wang family? Hearing that, the other ancestor immediately retorted. In his opinion, it was wishful thinking for Xiao Chen and the other two to think that they could destroy the Wang family. The Northern Imperial Palace was not to be trifled with. How could they be afraid of three war ancestor realm kings? However, in the face of his own family's rebuttal, the ancestor shook his head and smiled bitterly with a pale face. His smile was full of self-mockery. Don't you understand? The people who want to destroy the Wang family this time aren't the people from the eastern region, but he didn't say that word out loud. Instead, he pointed to the sky. Seeing that, the ancestor finally reacted. However, his expression was extremely interesting. He couldn't believe it. How is that possible? The Wang family is indebted to her. Moreover, you and I are the Northern Imperial Palace's ancestors. How could she team up with outsiders to deal with us? Perhaps we've crossed the line. Moreover, the Wang family's actions in recent years have indeed crossed the line. How can an emperor be manipulated by anyone? If I had known this would happen, it's too late for regrets. Please add me to your collection, monthly vote, recommend me. Chapter 3198. Until now, the two ancestors of the Wang family finally realized that it was all the North King's doing. No wonder no one in the North Royal Palace was willing to sell it. No wonder they didn't receive any reply when they sent the message back. For a moment, the two ancestors of the Wang family were in despair. Without the help of the North Royal Palace, the Wang family wasn't a match for Xiao Chen and the other two. Even if the two ancestors could stop Xiao Chen and Lin Yun, what about Lai Wan? If they let an unstoppable war ancestor realm king attack, the consequences would be devastating. No one in the Wang family could stop him. Their faces were extremely solemn. Even Wang Zheng and the other members of the Wang family stood rooted to the ground with their mouths agape, not to mention the two primogenitors. Their primogenitor had not deliberately concealed their conversation earlier, so they naturally heard it clearly. After knowing that the North King wanted to destroy the Wang family, Wang Jing didn't dare to think about it. Impossible, absolutely impossible. Our Wang family is indebted to the North King. The North King wouldn't do this. That's right. As an emperor, how can he be ungrateful and repay kindness with ingratitude? Our Wang family is the North King's benefactor. We can't do this, everyone said in disbelief. The ancestor of the Wang family, who had guessed it first, shouted coldly. Enough. Looking at the members of the Wang family, he seemed to understand why the North King would do this. As the saying goes, one can't escape the sins of one's own making. The members of the Wang family were responsible for the Wang family's current situation. Look at these people. They were still thinking that the Wang family was indebted to the North King. Therefore, the North King should protect the Wang family unconditionally. They didn't know that this kind of kindness would be used less and less. That was the kindness that the ancestors of the Wang family exchanged for with their lives. However, after so many years, the Wang family didn't know how to control themselves. They relied on this kindness and acted recklessly in the North region. In the end, they didn't respect the North King anymore. They felt that it was natural for the North King to stand up for them. It was precisely because of such thoughts that the North Emperor bore a grudge against the Wang clan, and also angered the ruler of the North region. That was why he was determined to destroy the Wang clan. It was the Wang clan's own people who pushed the Wang clan into the abyss of destruction step by step. I should have thought of it earlier. I should have thought of it earlier. A bitter smile appeared on the corner of the ancestor's mouth. At this moment, he was filled with regret. As the progenitor of the Wang clan, although he had never done anything to bully others, he had never stopped anyone from the Wang clan either. not to mention teaching them how to conduct themselves in the world. In the past, he also did not take these things seriously. He didn't stop the Wang family from building a teleportation portal to the North Royal Palace either. He only thought that it was a way for the Wang family to protect themselves. But now, it seemed that this wasn't a means of self-protection. It was an extremely stupid thing to do. In the history of the Northern Imperial Palace, the Wang clan was probably the only one who had built a teleportation formation in the Northern Imperial Palace without permission. No one would be able to accept this, let alone an emperor who ruled over a region. Digging one's own grave was the most appropriate way to describe the Wang clan. Just as the progenitor of the Wang clan was talking to himself, there was a loud bang. The entire formation protecting the Wang clan was completely destroyed by Xiao Chen and the other two. Without the protection of the formation, 3 terrifying auras descended from the sky and pressed down on everyone from the Wang clan. Xiao Chen and the other two naturally wouldn't hold back. Just the suppression of their auras alone caused many cultivators with low cultivation to explode and die. There was no helping it. With these people's cultivation, they couldn't even resist Xiao Chen's auras. Damn it. Seeing that a mere wisp of aura had killed so many of their clansmen, the 2 progenitors of the Wang clan immediately released their own auras to protect everyone from the Wang clan. Even so, their expressions didn't improve at all. They could protect them for a while, but they couldn't protect them forever. Facing off in the air, Xiao Chen looked at the 2 progenitors of the Wang clan with a faint smile on his face. Looks like you've already guessed it. Unfortunately, it won't change anything. From their expressions, Xiao Chen knew that they had already understood the cause and effect of this matter. They also knew who the real mastermind was. In response, the 2 progenitors of the Wang clan still looked cold. One of them even said coldly, "We are the kings of the North Imperial Palace. The North Imperial Palace won't give up on us just like that. They definitely won't." The only thing they could rely on now was their status as kings of the North Imperial Palace. They still had a glimmer of hope in their hearts. Even if the North Emperor wanted to give up on the Wang clan, he wouldn't give up on them too. This was because losing 2 combat ancestor realm kings in a row was a great loss to the North Imperial Palace. After all, there were only 10 kings in the North Imperial Palace, 1 less than the East Imperial Palace. If they lost the 2 of them, the North Imperial Palace would only have 8 kings left. In that case, the entire North Imperial Palace would probably be reduced to the weakest of the 4 major regions. Therefore, the 2 progenitors were still hoping that the North Emperor hadn't given up on them. Unfortunately, when Xiao Chen heard this, he didn't hide his sarcasm at all. A crooked stick will have a crooked shadow. The Wang clan is naive. As progenitors, you are the same. What did you say? I said that until now, you still haven't seen clearly what kind of person the Emperor is in your hearts. He can't even bear to give up on 2 mere kings. If he doesn't even have the courage to do so, can he still be considered an emperor? The 2 of them still thought so highly of themselves. Little did they know that the North Emperor didn't care at all. Everything had a price, but as long as the incentive outweighed the disadvantage, it was feasible. Destroying the Wang clan would cause them to lose 2 combat ancestor realm kings, but it would also completely solve the problem. Therefore, would the North Emperor be soft-hearted? Moreover, if the Wang clan was destroyed, would the 2 progenitors still have a chance to stay? Even if they really stayed, would the 2 of them still be on the same side as the North Emperor in the future? No one would agree to having such a threat by their side, let alone the North Emperor. How could he allow others to sleep beside him? Cut the crap. Today is the day the Wang clan will be destroyed. Xiao Chen didn't want to waste any more time with the 2 of them. As soon as he finished speaking, he chose to attack. No one would help them. Therefore, the Wang clan would be destroyed today. With death at hand, the Wang clan was obviously prepared to fight like a cornered beast. The progenitor of the Wang clan immediately ordered in a deep voice, "People of the Wang clan, follow me and kill the enemy." In an instant, a great battle broke out. The continent where the Wang clan was located was covered by dark clouds. It was as if doomsday had arrived. Please add, please vote, please recommend. End of chapter. Chapter 3199. Xiao Chen and Lai Wan fought against the two primogenitors of the Wang family while Lin Yun attacked the rest of the Wang family. One had to admit that the Wang family had a strong foundation. Under the care of the North King for so many years, the Wang family had produced many experts. In addition, regardless of whether it was the warlord ancestor realm, holy ancestor realm, ancient living beings, or world lords, they all had a long lifespan. As a result, the number of experts in the Wang family had accumulated to a terrifying level. There were more than 100 world lords and 50 to 60 ancient living beings. Even though 3 holy ancestor realm experts had been killed, the Wang family still had 3 holy ancestor realm experts. In the face of the threat of extinction, the Wang family naturally wouldn't hold back and send out all their experts. In addition to the experts, the Wang family also had various treasures and foundations. Naturally, the most of them were formations. As an old formation master family in the North region, the Wang family did have some achievements in formations. They lived up to their reputation. With so many techniques added together, Lin Yun couldn't kill the Wang family easily even if there were no warlord ancestor realm experts to stop her. With more than 100 world lords, 50 to 60 ancient living beings, and 3 holy ancestor realm experts, the Wang family and Lin Yun were in a stalemate. As for Xiao Chen and Lai Wan, it was difficult for them to kill the 2 primogenitors of the Wang family in a short time. After all, they were all warlord ancestor realm experts. Humph, do you think you can destroy the Wang family like this? The Wang family has been able to stand in the North region for so many years. How can we not be capable? Seeing that the battle wasn't one-sided, one of the primogenitors of the Wang family heaved a sigh of relief and shouted coldly at Xiao Chen and Lai Wan. However, Xiao Chen didn't reply. The battle was indeed in a stalemate, but was that all? Since the North King had already taken action, Xiao Chen didn't believe that was all. Xiao Chen smirked coldly and paid no heed to that ancestor of the Wang clan. That ancestor became even more furious when he saw that. His attacks became even more ferocious, and all sorts of matrices continued to envelop Xiao Chen. Die for me. They wanted to use the power of the formation to trap Xiao Chen. Unfortunately, it was very difficult for these formations to truly trap Xiao Chen. They were all war ancestor realm cultivators. How could they be trapped by a single formation? With a slash of his sword, the formation shattered. Xiao Chen charged over with his sword, and the 2 of them immediately engaged in a fierce battle. Although the Wang family was tens of thousands of li away from here, the North Emperor and East Emperor seemed to be able to pierce through space and reach each other. The 2 of them looked quietly in the direction of the Wang family. Their expressions were calm, and even old man Dong Huang had a smile on his face. The strength of the Wang family is not bad. Looks like you haven't mistreated them all these years. Now is not the time to talk about this. With just the 3 of them, it will be very difficult to take down the Wang clan. That's not necessarily true. It'll just take some time. The North Emperor felt that with the strength of the Wang family, Xiao Chen and the other 2 might not be enough. However, the East Emperor was full of confidence in the 3 of them, especially Xiao Chen and Lin Yun. Their strength was at the top of the Grand Dukes in the Emperor Dong's palace. The Wang family might be able to contend with the 3 of them now, but given enough time, Xiao Chen and Lin Yun would definitely be able to break the balance. By then, the Wang family would be destroyed. For example, if Xiao Chen killed one of the ancestors of the Wang family, or if Lin Yun broke through the siege of the Wang family, they would be able to turn the situation around instantly. Moreover, both of them had the ability to do so. The 2 ancestors of the Wang family were not weak, and they were proficient in formations. Their combat strength was indeed on par with Lai Wan. It might be impossible for Lai Wan to determine the winner in a one-on-one battle, but Xiao Chen was different. The 2 ancestors of the Wang family were no match for Xiao Chen. The East Emperor was full of confidence, but the North Emperor did not think so. After a moment of silence, the North Emperor spoke. Send your men to support them. Don't worry, I won't go back on my word. The destruction of the Wang family was too crucial. The North Emperor would not allow any accidents to happen. Therefore, she directly requested the East Emperor to send more men. The people of the North Emperor Palace definitely could not participate in this battle. Therefore, the people of the Emperor Dong's palace had to do it. The East Emperor had brought not only Xiao Chen and the other 2 Grand Dukes, but also the other 2 Grand Dukes of the Emperor Dong's palace. As long as the 2 of them participated, the 5 Grand Dukes in the Wang family would have no chance of survival. This was the North Emperor's way of doing things, or rather, her personality. She was extremely determined and decisive. Once she made up her mind, she would not leave any chance of survival. Regarding this, the East Emperor did not say much. He directly sent a message to the other 2 Grand Dukes of the Emperor Dong's palace. The old man sent a message. He wants us to participate? Yes, he wants us to rush to the Wang family immediately and fully cooperate with Xiao Chen and the others. Sigh, this matter of the North region actually made us the scapegoat. After this is over, we will be hated to death by the people of the North region. Then there's no choice. This is the deal between the old man and the North Emperor. Let's go. After receiving the East Emperor's order, the 2 of them did not hesitate and rushed to the Wang family. Moreover, they directly passed through the teleportation formation of the North Emperor Palace. It was the teleportation formation that the Wang family had built. It was a Grand Duke of the North Emperor Palace who had personally activated it for them. Seeing the 2 of them disappear into the teleportation formation, the Grand Duke of the North Emperor Palace sighed softly. The Wang family was really finished. There was no chance of a comeback. On the Wang family's side, after a fierce battle, they realized that with their own strength, they could actually stop Xiao Chen and the other 2. Many of the Wang family's people once again had hope. So what if the North Emperor does not help us? Our Wang family is very powerful. Even if 3 combat Ancestor Realm Grand Dukes attack us, we are not afraid at all. With confidence in their hearts, the Wang family's fighting spirit also rose. Even the 2 primogenitors of the Wang family had a new hope in their hearts. As long as they could stop Xiao Chen and the other 2, the Wang family still had a chance. That was because the North Emperor Palace could not directly attack. Otherwise, why would the North Emperor do something unnecessary? As long as they could defeat Xiao Chen and the other 2, even if the North Emperor wanted to kill them, the Wang family still had a chance to make up for it. At most, they could escape from the North region. When there was hope, there would be motivation. Xiao Chen, who had noticed the change, sighed sympathetically as he continued to attack. I really understand how naive the Wang family can be. Not to mention whether you can really stop the 3 of us. Even if you can, the Wang family will not have a chance. As soon as he finished speaking, 2 terrifying auras came from the teleportation formation in the depths of the Wang family. They had reached the combat Ancestor Realm. Begging for collection, begging for monthly votes, begging for recommendations. End of chapter. Chapter 3200. Until now, the Wang clan was still holding on to their hopes. In Xiao Chen's opinion, if it were him, then, the moment he made a move, he would have done everything he could to get his clan members to escape. Even if only 1/10 of them managed to escape, they would still be able to carry on the clan's legacy and would not be slaughtered. However, the Wang clan obviously did not think so. They even thought that they could stop Xiao Chen and the other 2. Such a naive and childish thought. It was hard to say whether the Wang clan was too confident or too stupid. As expected, as Xiao Chen expected, reinforcements had arrived. However, they were not from the Wang clan, but the 2 kings of the Emperor Dong Palace. As the 2 kings of the Emperor Dong Palace arrived, the Wang clan members were dumbfounded. Just Xiao Chen and the other 2 were already difficult for them to resist. Now, there were 2 more kings of the combat Ancestor Realm. For a moment, everyone was in despair. There was no chance of winning. They could not see any chance of survival. Only death awaited them. The two people who rushed over did not hesitate at all. They immediately joined the battle. Their targets were naturally the two primogenitors of the Wang family. "Brother Xiaochen, Brother Lai Wan, we are here to help you." As they spoke, the two kings joined the battle. The pressure on the two Wang clan ancestors immediately increased. They were at a disadvantage and were completely suppressed. Damn it! Their previous confidence instantly vanished. No matter how arrogant the two ancestors of the Wang clan were, they knew that it was impossible to fight 2 against 4. Why? Why must you destroy our Wang clan? They roared angrily. Perhaps it was only at this moment that the two Wang clan ancestors realized that the North Emperor was really planning to destroy their Wang clan. Their Wang family was truly on the brink of death. The two primogenitors of the Wang family had never felt so close to death. As the kings of the North Emperor Palace, they used to be so high and mighty. But now, they were shrouded in the thick aura of death. The rest of the Wang clan were the same. They did not care about the anger of the two Wang clan ancestors. What happened between them and the North Emperor had nothing to do with Xiaochen and the rest. To put it bluntly, Xiaochen and the others had only acted because they were following orders from old man Dong Huang. With a cold expression, he cooperated with the king of the Emperor Dong Palace. Facing the attacks of the two, the Wang family ancestor managed to block one attack, but he also revealed an opening. Without wasting any time, Xiaochen slashed out with his sword, not giving the Wang clan's primogenitor a chance to react. He cut off his left arm. The progenitor of the Wang clan had managed to avoid being hit in his vitals at the last moment. Otherwise, he wouldn't have just lost his left arm. Even so, having his left arm chopped off still had a huge impact on his combat strength. After gaining the upper hand, Xiaochen continued attacking. His eyes were calm, showing no change in his attitude. After a fierce battle, under the combined efforts of Xiaochen and Jian Wushuang, the ancestor of the Wang clan was unable to change the outcome of the battle and ended up dead. Under normal circumstances, it was impossible for a war ancestor realm king to fall. But at this moment, in the sky above the Wang clan, a war ancestor realm king had fallen. This was probably the first war ancestor realm king to fall in the North region in 1,000 years. As if the heavens had sensed it, a rain of blood began to fall, accompanied by the sound of weeping. Blood splattered everywhere as Xiaochen blasted his body into a bloody mist. His soul was also obliterated. In the end, with only a wisp of his soul left, the Wang clan primogenitor roared at the sky. "I can't accept this. Why? Why did my Wang clan do this for the North region? Why did I do this for you? My Wang clan is the benefactor of the North region. We are the benefactor of your North Emperor. I can't accept this." The roar resounded through the sky, almost spreading throughout the entire North region. This was a war ancestor realm king swearing to the heavens with the last of his strength. Even in the Northern Imperial Palace, the many kings heard this roar. The kings of the North Royal Palace, who were originally calm, all changed their expressions. Some reminisced, some lamented, and some sighed silently. They all knew that the North Emperor was going to destroy the Wang clan this time, and they did not object, nor could they object. They all tacitly agreed with the North Emperor's decision. They thought that they could calmly accept all of this, but when it really happened, the kings of the North Royal Palace realized that their hearts were indeed a little stuffy, and they could not be as calm as water. After all, no matter what, the two ancestors of the Wang clan were from the North Royal Palace, and they were old friends who had been together for thousands of years. Perhaps there had been unhappiness, but it was more of a friendship that had gradually accumulated over a long period of time. Usually, no one would care about this, but now that their old friends had left, all kinds of emotions surged in their hearts. Who said that war ancestor realm kings were immortal and indestructible? Who in the world dared to say that they were undefeated, undying, and indestructible? Even the heavenly Tao could be obliterated. If one was strong enough, not to mention kings, even emperors would have to suffer. A white-haired old man slowly poured the wine in his cup to the ground and said in a low voice. In the end, they still left. The old man was also a king of the North Royal Palace, and he had a good relationship with the two ancestors of the Wang clan. Now, his heart was filled with mixed feelings. Since he could not attack, he could only use this method to send his old friends off. As for the others, even those who had a grudge with the two ancestors of the Wang clan, or those who were not on good terms with them, sighed softly. Master, you have never been on good terms with the Wang clan. Now that the ancestor of the Wang clan is dead, aren't you happy? In a simple courtyard, a 7 or 8-year-old child asked a middle-aged man. This person was also a king of the North Royal Palace, but it could be said that he had never been on good terms with the Wang clan, and neither side liked the other. Even so, he did not show the slightest bit of happiness or joy after the death of the ancestor of the Wang clan. Instead, he revealed a helpless and melancholic expression. Hearing his little disciple's question, the middle-aged man pondered for a moment, then said indifferently, "Hatred or resentment, it's all in the past. Such an ending is indeed lamentable. There was indeed a grudge, but so what? A person's death was like a lamp being extinguished." Looking at their former enemy, the king of the North Royal Palace, the ancestor of the Wang clan being killed just like that, the middle-aged man was filled with emotions. The middle-aged man's heart was filled with emotions. Perhaps the Wang family could have had a different ending, but in the end, they still came to this step. If the Wang clan had restrained themselves, the North Royal Palace might not have ended up like this. Unfortunately, it was all too late. Please add, please vote, please recommend. Chapter 3201. One of the ancestors of the Wang family had fallen. For a moment, the entire Wang family was bathed in blood. The heavenly Tao wept and dark clouds covered the sun. The entire Wang family was in grief. Their ancestor had died. He had lived for God knows how many years, but now he was killed just like that. After witnessing this scene with their own eyes, who dared to say that the king of the combat ancestor realm was immortal? Moreover, the death of this progenitor seemed to have triggered the collapse of the Wang clan. In just a moment, the entire Wang clan was like ants, being slaughtered one by one. The reason was very simple. After killing the ancestor of the Wang family, Xiaochen and the other king of the East Imperial Palace were free. No one stopped the two of them. It was a disaster for the Wang family. Even the experts of the divine ancestor realm were just ants in front of Xiaochen and the other king of the East Imperial Palace. They couldn't even block one move. The defensive line that the Wang family had built was torn apart like a piece of paper under the impact of Xiaochen and the other king of the East Imperial Palace. It was truly a one-sided slaughter when a tiger entered a flock of sheep. Wails, screams, and begging for mercy rose one after another. Even if they were far away, they could still be heard clearly. For example, the spies from the other major forces hiding around the Wang family were all terrified at this moment. Really, these guys from the East region had really wiped out the Wang family. They had never thought that things would turn out like this. How dare these people from the East region slaughter the Wang family like this? Also, why hadn't the people of the North Imperial Palace come out yet? Were they going to let the Wang family be destroyed like this? The Wang family is finished. It's really finished. Things are strange. Many people had already sensed that something was wrong, especially when it came to the North Imperial Palace. Those forces that had clashed with Xiaochen and the others before were all sweating because they were afraid that after the Wang family, it would be their turn next. The Wang family was so powerful, but two of their combat ancestor realm kings were killed like this. What about them? One should know that their strength was far inferior to the Wang family. Worried, these spies immediately sent the news back to their respective sections. For a moment, the sect masters and sect masters of various forces in the North region were all shaken. Is the Wang family really destroyed? Sect Master, the North Imperial Palace's reaction this time is too unusual. What do you mean? No matter what, the Wang family is a major sect in the North region. Now that it has been destroyed, the North Imperial Palace, from the beginning to the end, the North Imperial Palace. There must be something wrong. This old man even suspects, that's enough. The upper echelons of these sects were not fools. They quickly realized the problem in this matter. This was especially so considering the strange actions of the North Royal Palace and the arrogant actions of the Wong clan. That person probably benefited from this. Otherwise, no matter how arrogant the East Imperial Palace was, they would not have been able to destroy the Wong family under the nose of the North Imperial Palace. However, even if he had guessed these things, he absolutely could not say it out loud. After being scolded by the sect leader, the few elders were smart enough to keep their mouths shut. In their hearts, they were all thinking that this matter would definitely rot in their stomachs. Whoever said anything would die. All right. Don't pay attention to the Wong family anymore. Keep a tight watch on the disciples. If there's no need, close the mountain gate today. Directly closing the mountain gate was the best solution. Regarding this, the elders did not have any objections. It wasn't just one force. Almost half of the major forces in the northern region had chosen to close their doors at the same time. Their disciples had even shut their doors. Even those who had gone out for training had received a summons from their sects to return immediately. The Wong family incident made the major forces tremble in fear. They did not dare to get involved in this mess. As for the incident that happened in the northern spiritual realm, the young geniuses who were killed by Xiao Yao and Xiao Lao. Who would still remember that compared to the destruction of the Wong family, this incident could not be any more insignificant. It was not worthy of everyone's attention. The forces that had once threatened to get an explanation from Xiao Chen were now even more silent. They no longer had the intention to cause trouble for Xiao Chen and the others. The fall of a young prodigy and the destruction of a sect. Even a pig could tell which was more important. Everyone tacitly chose to remain silent. As for the Wong family, without any assistance, they were eventually destroyed without exception. The mainland where the Wong family was located was completely destroyed. All the members of the Wong family were killed. Perhaps some members of the Wong family who went out by chance survived. However, these people could no longer cause any trouble. After doing all this, Xiao Chen stood in the void. Lin Yan said with a chuckle. How is it? Do you still want to go to the other forces? You're asking the obvious. The Wong family has been destroyed. What's the point of going there? Furthermore, we should return to the North Imperial Palace. Xiao Chen had no intention of going to the other forces. After all, the Wong family was just a show put on by the North Emperor. However, if Xiao Chen went to destroy the other forces in the North region, the North Imperial Palace would not stand idly by. Furthermore, after this incident, the other forces should know what to do. Hearing this, Lin Yun and the others smiled and nodded. Then, in a flash, they disappeared. At the same time, in the void, Dong Wang laughed as he watched the Wang family being destroyed. Let's go. It's time for you to show yourself. Of course, but you have to cooperate with me. Don't worry. However, I really don't know what you're thinking. As an emperor, you want to destroy the Wang family and make it so troublesome. If we were in the East region, I could kill them all with one word. I'm not like you. Gossip is a fearful thing. With that, the two emperors left the void together. Coincidentally, when Xiao Chen and the others appeared in the North Imperial Palace, no one came out to greet them. Of course, no one stopped them. Everyone in the North Imperial Palace seemed to have gone into seclusion and did not come out. However, at this moment, two terrifying auras suddenly appeared in the sky, followed by an angry roar. Damn it! How dare you attack the forces in the North region? Do you really think that there's no one in the North region who can stop you? This voice belonged to none other than the North Emperor. Following the North Emperor's angry roar, two figures instantly appeared in front of Xiao Chen and the others. Among them, the North Emperor glared angrily. The murderous intent in his eyes was as if he wanted to skin Xiao Chen and the others alive. If Xiao Chen did not know that this was all an act by the North Emperor, he would have believed it. As expected of an emperor. Not only was his combat strength heaven-defying, but even his acting skills were superb. Please add me to your collection. Please recommend me. Chapter 3202. In the sky above the North Royal Palace, the North Emperor was full of murderous intent. His aura distorted the space around him. It was as if he wanted to kill Xiao Chen and the others. The East Royal Palace has gone too far. He looked at Dong Huang coldly. The old man Dong Huang was also a drama queen. The Huang family started this. What does it have to do with the East Royal Palace? Don't be unreasonable. The two emperors supported each other. At the same time, many experts appeared in the North Royal Palace. They had no choice. Since the North Emperor and the East Emperor were here, they couldn't hide anymore. Moreover, the Huang family had been destroyed. They had to play along with the North Emperor. Almost every expert from North Royal Palace had a look of anger on their faces, but they felt helpless in their hearts. Everyone knew that the North Emperor was behind the Huang family's destruction. Xiao Chen and the others were just executors. But at this moment, they couldn't show it. They even had to show anger. The Huang family had been destroyed. It was hypocritical of them to complain for the Huang family now. Moreover, they couldn't fool anyone by doing this. But they had to do it. This kind of thing was not uncommon. Sometimes, it was just like this. Everyone was well aware of it, but as long as the window paper was not broken, then the show that was supposed to be put on had to continue. It was better for everyone if they didn't expose the truth. Lai Wan was speechless when he saw the actors from the North Royal Palace. These people from the North Royal Palace are all F***king talents. Compared to the people from the North Royal Palace, Xiao Chen and the others were more casual. They just stood there. They just had to cooperate. The rest was up to the old man and the North Emperor. Under everyone's gaze, the North Emperor sneered coldly and said viciously, "Today, I will seek justice for the Huang family and all the forces in the North region." With that, the North Emperor attacked. At the same time, the others from the North Royal Palace also attacked Xiao Chen and the others. A great battle seemed to be about to start. But after the fight, things didn't turn out as they had imagined. Even though one could sense the frightening aftermath of the battle from afar, and the enormous oppressive might caused one to feel a chill in one's heart, it was extremely frightening. However, the battle in the sky above the Northern Imperial Palace was actually extremely fake. That's right, it was fake. It could only be said that it was a sham. It seemed like they would not stop until one of them was dead. However, in reality, no one had used their true abilities. Xiao Chen and his group fought fiercely with the king tiers of the Northern Imperial Palace. After fighting for a long time, no one was injured. Not even a single hair was lost. That was ridiculous. Moreover, a battle of this level would have destroyed even the North Royal Palace, right? However, after several hours of intense battle, the Northern Imperial Palace was completely unscathed. At the same time, as the battle continued, the North Emperor saw that it was about time, so he took the initiative to stop. "Dong Huang, you've gone too far. I will report this matter to the Star-Lord and let the Star-Lord decide." Alright, even the Star-Lord of the Fire Phoenix Galaxy had come out. Not to mention whether the North Emperor would report this matter. Even if he did, the Star-Lord would probably ignore it. The matter was left unsettled. Although the North Emperor expressed his extreme anger, the end result was that Xiao Chen and his group were completely unscathed. As for the Huang clan, it was destroyed just like that. There was no follow-up. Many of the major forces of the North region were not surprised to see such an outcome. They had already guessed that it would be like this. No one mentioned the Huang clan again. On the Star Island where the Eastern Imperial Palace was located, the old man Dong Huang threw a few space rings to Xiao Chen and his group and said with a smile, "This is from the girl, the North Emperor. Take it as a reward." A reward for acting? Hearing this, Lai Wan put it away bluntly and said with a smile, "There must be a reward for helping the North Emperor destroy the Huang clan." Only a fool would reject it. Moreover, this was a matter of the North region. They had even played a part in it. The old man did not hide the compensation from the Northern Imperial Palace. Instead, he gave it all to Xiao Chen and his group. Most of them were formations. Of course, there were also many cultivation resources. In order to get Xiao Chen and his group to cooperate, the North Emperor was not stingy. It could be said that he had paid a small price. All right, after this incident, I'm afraid we can't stay in the North region any longer. We were planning to wait for the Star Lord to come. According to the previous plan, everyone was supposed to wait for the Star Lord to come before leaving. However, they could not do so now. Xiao Chen and his group destroyed the Wang clan, and the Northern Imperial Palace could not do anything to them. However, if they continued to stay in the North region, it would be too much. Moreover, they were at the cusp of the storm. It was not good for them to continue staying in the North region. In this regard, Xiao Chen and his group did not have any objections. So be it. They did not stay for even a day. After the battle, the people from Emperor Dong's palace left the North region. The Northern Imperial Palace did not stop them. Everything was planned. At the same time, after the people from Emperor Dong's palace left, a few sovereigns from the Northern Imperial Palace came to the North Emperor's residence. There was a bitter smile on their faces. My lord, the outside world is already in an uproar. The destruction of the Wang clan was not a small matter. The North Emperor waved his hand nonchalantly. It's okay. The North Emperor did not care about what the outside world was saying. Anyway, as time passed, everything would calm down. Thousands of years later, how many people would still remember the Wang clan? Even if there were people who remembered, they would at most sigh. The winner was king while the loser was a bandit. A destroyed clan would be wiped out by the river of time sooner or later. The matter in the North region came to an end temporarily. Half a month later, Xiao Chen and his group were successfully released back to the East region. After arriving at Emperor Dong's palace, Lai Wan stretched comfortably and smiled. Home is still the best. Why? Are you not used to the North region? Lin Yan smiled. This trip to the North region was not boring. At least they had destroyed a big clan. When they returned home, Xian Yuan Ling and Long Qing immediately came up to them. Seeing the two of them, Xiao Chen smiled. Big brother, second sister. Little brother. This time, the two of them did not follow Xiao Chen to the North region. Instead, they stayed at home. Big brother, I think you should go to the North region. It should be very helpful for you. After chatting for a while, Xiao Chen expressed his thoughts. The array Dao in the North region was obviously much stronger than that in the East region. Xian Yuan Ling had been studying array Dao for a long time. It could be said that if he went to the North region, he would definitely gain a lot. This was also what Xiao Chen had been thinking about. However, after the incident with the Wang clan, some things needed to be changed. Please add, vote, recommend. Chapter 3203. Xiao Chen had long planned for Xian Yuan Ling to go to the North region. However, due to the Wang family incident, it was impossible for him to go with great fanfare. However, it did not matter. As long as Xian Yuan Ling did not expose his identity in the East region, there would be no problem. Moreover, he could inform the North King. With the North Royal Palace secretly taking care of him, there would not be any danger. He immediately told Xian Yuan Ling what he was thinking. Hearing this, Xian Yuan Ling naturally accepted it happily. Now that Xian Yuan Ling and Long Qing had the cultivation of an ancient creature, breaking through to the Holy Ancestor realm was no longer possible by relying on resources. In Xiao Chen's opinion, Xian Yuan Ling's opportunity to break through to the Holy Ancestor realm should be in the North region. Only the North region could allow Xian Yuan Ling's array skills to continue improving. Although he had become an array master halfway, Xian Yuan Ling was now a true array master. He was also very fond of array skills. Big brother, let me talk to the old man about this. Then, you and Li Tian will set off together. Seeing that Xin Yuanling did not have any objections, Xiaochen finally decided. Okay. The next day, Xiaochen found Old Master Dong Huang and told him about Xin Yuanling and Li Tian. Old Master Dong Huang naturally had no objections. He also personally sent a message to the North King, asking him to secretly take care of the two of them. He owed the East Royal Palace a favor, so of course, the North King would not say much about such a small matter. He simply agreed. Things went smoothly. Now, they only had to wait for when Xin Yuanling and Li Tian wanted to go to the North region. When they arrived, someone from the North Royal Palace would naturally contact them. After dealing with Xin Yuanling and Li Tian's matter, Xiaochen began to consider the second matter. Now that the East region was very peaceful, as the ruler of the East Royal Palace, Xiaochen naturally did not have much to do. Therefore, Xiaochen planned to settle the matters at home and head to the central region. Xiaochen was naturally very interested in the core of the Fire Phoenix Galaxy, the most powerful region. However, before that, there was still something very important. That was the breakthroughs of Qin Shuru and the other girls, as well as Xiao Yao, Xiao Lao, Xiao Qing, and Bai Ruyue. Now that the cultivation of the entire family had reached the level of a world lord, it was time for them to break through to the ancient living world. For the sake of his family's breakthrough, Xiaochen had prepared for a long time. He definitely had enough cultivation resources. However, for Qin Shuru, Xiao Yao, and Xiao Lao, Xiaochen did not intend to use resources to force them. After all, there was no benefit to them. Even if they broke through, it would just be a facade. As for Xiao Qing and Bai Ruyue, due to their lack of aptitude, they could only rely on resources. There was no other choice. In fact, Xiao Qing and Bai Ruyue's cultivation had always been built up by Xiaochen using resources. He did not expect their combat strength to be strong. The only reason he wanted to improve the cultivation of the two elders was to increase their lifespan. Therefore, the breakthrough of the two elders was not a big deal. It was Qin Shuru, Xiao Yao, and Xiao Lao who were hard to come by. With enough resources, there was no need to worry about the cultivation secret realm for the breakthrough. Emperor Dong's palace had everything. After more than half a month of preparation, Xiaochen and Lin Yun had made arrangements for their family's breakthrough. Lin Yun also planned to go to the central region with Xiaochen. Xiaochen planned to let his family break through, so Lin Yun simply started together. His families Lin Feng, Lin Shua, Lu Bingning, and the other girls were also about to break through to the ancient living world. In a special cultivation maze, this place had been completely sealed off. Moreover, Xiaochen and Lin Yun had done it personally. No one else could enter at all. Countless cultivation resources and an entire cultivation secret realm were used. It could be seen how much importance Xiaochen and Lin Yun attached to this matter. According to what I said before, with your accumulation and foundation, there should be no problem. Standing in front of Qin Shuru, the girls, Xiao Yao, and Xiao Lao, Xiaochen said softly. Knowing that the few of them did not have much confidence in this breakthrough, Xiaochen comforted them. Husband. Don't worry, it's okay. We will definitely succeed. Don't be too hasty. After explaining some things to pay attention to during the breakthrough, everyone began to cultivate in seclusion. It was not a simple matter to break through from a world lord to an ancient living world. Moreover, the time it would take would definitely not be short. As for Xiaochen and Lin Yun, during this period, they did not dare to take a single step away. They were so serious about guarding everyone. If there were any accidents, the two of them would be able to take action immediately. Time passed day by day. In the blink of an eye, 10 years had passed. During these 10 years, not letting down Xiaochen and Lin Yun, everyone successfully completed the breakthrough one after another. Although there might be some threats and hiccups in the process, the final result was generally very good. The first to break through were the two elders, Xiao Qing and Bai Ruyue. After all, they were not that complicated. Xiaochen only needed to continuously use resources to push their cultivation up. There was no need to estimate their combat strength and many other things. Everyone completed the breakthrough one after another, and their cultivation successfully rose from a world lord to an ancient living world. Not bad, but you still need to consolidate your cultivation. It just so happens that this cultivation secret realm is very suitable for you. Husband, are you going to the central region? Hearing Xiao Chen's words, 100 Flower Fairy asked. The girls already knew that Xiao Chen was planning to go to the central region. Now, it seemed like it was true. Regarding this, Xiao Chen did not hide it and said bluntly. Now that all of you have successfully broken through, the next step is to go into seclusion to consolidate your cultivation. There won't be any danger. I'll take this opportunity to go to the central region to take a look. In the future, when your cultivation has stabilized, we'll go together. Xiao Chen definitely would not go to the central region only once. This time, he and Lin Yun were going there more than just to explore the place. Hearing this, Qin Shiru and the other girls did not refuse. Only Xiao Lao, the silly guy, said excitedly. Dad, you said it. Next time, I'll bring us along. Okay. Everyone stayed in the secret realm to cultivate in seclusion. Anyway, this was Emperor Dong's palace, so there was no need to worry about their safety. Moreover, they could leave the secret realm anytime they wanted. After arranging everything, Xiao Chen and Lin Yun went to look for Dong Huang. Everything's arranged? 10 years was like the blink of an eye to Emperor Dong's palace. A casual meditation might take 10 years. Therefore, Dong Huang was not surprised to see Xiao Chen and Lin Yun again after 10 years. It was as if he had just seen them yesterday. Yes, everything's arranged. Then let's go. The central region is indeed worth a visit. However, that place is the center of the entire Fire Phoenix galaxy after all. It's also under the Star-Lord's feet. It's completely different from the other 4 regions. Don't act rashly and be more careful. Begging for collection, begging for monthly votes, begging for recommendations. Chapter 3204. Xiao Chen and Lin Yun planned to go to finally. Old man Dong Huang naturally approved of this decision. Now that the matters at home had been settled, Qin Shiru and the other girls, as well as Xiao Yao and Xiao Lao, had successfully broken through to the ancient spirit realm. Next, they just had to go into seclusion for a while, so there was no need to worry at all. This time, Xiao Chen and Lin Yun planned to bring along Long Qing, the monk, the Taoist priest, and Lin Yuan. After all, everyone had a greater chance of breaking through to the divine ancestor realm in the central region, which was much better than cultivating in the east region. Of course, Xin Yuan Ling and Li Tian did not go together. The two of them were going to the north region, which Xiao Chen and Lin Yun had already arranged for them. After preparing for a day, Xiao Chen specially met with Xin Yuan Ling before they set off. Big brother, you and Li Tian go to the north region. Be careful. Although the North Imperial Palace will take care of you, you still have to be careful. Don't worry. Long Qing was going to follow him to finally, and Xin Yuan Ling was going to the north region with Li Tian. Naturally, Xiao Chen was worried. Hearing that, Xin Yuan Ling nodded in response. He was not a greenhorn and had experienced many things over the years. Therefore, Xin Yuan Ling actually did not feel too much pressure for this trip to the north region. He was fully capable of handling it. Moreover, the North Imperial Palace was secretly taking care of him, so nothing would happen. After exchanging a few words, Xiao Chen bade farewell to Xin Yuan Ling and stepped onto a spatial spirit boat with Lin Yun and the others to leave the East Imperial Palace. Let's go, it's almost time for us to set off. After sending off Xiao Chen and the others, Xin Yuan Ling smiled and said to Li Tian. Hearing that, Li Tian nodded. There was a special teleportation formation connecting the East region to the Central region, which could be activated directly. However, at the suggestion of old man Dong Huang, Xiao Chen and the others did not choose to use the teleportation formation. According to the old man, this was the first time Xiao Chen and the others were going to the Eastern region, and they were going there to gain experience, so there was no need for them to use the teleportation formation. Moreover, at the border between the eastern and central regions, there was a place known as the Chaotic Star Sea. It was a very good place. It was worth training for Xiao Chen and the others. After thinking about it, Xiao Chen felt that the old man's words made sense. So, they decided to enter the central region through the Scattered Star Sea. Since it was an experience, he naturally had to train himself more. If he kept using the teleportation array, it would be meaningless. Along the way, he was not in a hurry. The spatial spirit boat traveled at a steady pace in the endless starry sky. During the journey, Xiao Chen and Lin Yan both felt a rare sense of contentment that they had not felt for a long time. It seems like I haven't felt this way in a long time. Everyone sat together, drinking and chatting unscrupulously. Lin Yan sighed with emotion when she saw this. Yes, that's true. In this regard, Xiao Chen agreed. Most of the time, everyone was in a hurry. It was very difficult to be like now, where they could take a break while traveling. After half a month, Xiao Chen and the others finally walked out of the eastern region. According to the plan, they should have arrived at the Scattered Star Sea by now. The entire surroundings were enveloped by the Scattered Star Sea. No matter which direction one came from, one had to pass through the Scattered Star Sea to enter the central region. Of course, using the teleportation formation was an exception. It was precisely because of this unique geographical advantage that the Scattered Star Seas was extremely prosperous. It could be said that martial artists from the 5 major regions of the Fire Phoenix Galaxy were gathered here. There were even many martial artists from the central region. Moreover, because the Scattered Star Sea was different from the 5 major regions, there was no real overlord. Therefore, the entire Scattered Star Sea was much more chaotic than the 5 major regions. This seemed to be the intention of the Star Lord. Compared to the 5 major regions, the chaotic Scattered Star Sea seemed to be more attractive. After entering the Scattered Star Sea, Xiao Chen and the others felt the difference. The first was the atmosphere. The endless starry sky, which should have been extremely cold and cheerless, was now filled with spatial spirit boats or starships from time to time. This made the endless starry sky and the darkness a little more lively, and also proved the prosperity of the Scattered Star Sea. Because even in the eastern region, it was very difficult to see other spatial spirit boats in the endless starry sky. Because the starry sky was really too big, a spatial spirit boat traveling in it was like a grain of sand in a desert. Standing on the deck and looking at the spatial spirit boats and starships passing by from time to time, Xiao Chen said with a smile. Just as the old man said, these guys' eyes are a little unfriendly. In the Scattered Star Sea, killing and robbing were not rare. It could even be said to be an extremely common thing. As for why, the reason was very simple. The 5 major regions would not pursue any crime committed in the Scattered Star Sea. To put it bluntly, this was a place outside the law created by the Star Lord. No matter who it was, as long as they entered the Scattered Star Sea, no one would come to arrest them. Moreover, in the Scattered Star Sea, no one would care about killing and so on. Because of this, the situation in the Scattered Star Sea was extremely chaotic, and the warriors who lived there were extremely aggressive. Moreover, the Scattered Star Sea, which was not smaller than the eastern region, did not have a single ordinary person living there. Everyone was a warrior. Thinking about it, in the face of such a chaotic situation, how could an ordinary person without any cultivation survive? This is interesting. Let's go to the eastern star continent first. The Scattered Star Sea had a total of 4 main continents and countless small continents, which were like small islands in the vast sea. The eastern star continent was the main continent closest to Xiao Chen and the others. Entering the Scattered Star Sea from the eastern region, the first stop would definitely be the eastern star continent. Xiao Chen and the others naturally knew about it. Controlling the spatial spirit boat, they quickly arrived at the eastern star continent. From afar, an endless continent gradually appeared in front of them. Such a huge area, even Xiao Chen and the others had never seen it before. Just the area of a single continent was estimated to be comparable to the area of several universes in the eastern region. A universe would generally be formed by several or even dozens of continents, and the eastern star continent before them was equivalent to the area of several universes combined. It's really huge. I heard that the eastern star continent did not pay much attention to it before, but now it seems that it is so famous. Yes, it is said that there are even battle ancestor realm kings in the eastern star continent. The various major forces are even more intertwined. From beginning to end, no one has been able to dominate this place. Heroes rising together, this is interesting. The group chatted as they flew towards the eastern star continent. However, just as they were about to enter the eastern star continent, several spatial spirit boats suddenly appeared in front of them. They completely sealed off their path. Seeking collection, seeking monthly votes, seeking recommendation. Chapter 3205. Before they even entered the East Star Continent, Xiao Chen and the rest were surrounded by people. A total of 5 spatial spirit boats blocked Xiao Chen and the rest's way, not giving them any chance at all. Xiao Chen and the rest did not change their expressions at all. These guys were not strong and were not a threat at all. However, this scene made Xiao Chen and the rest feel the chaos of the disarray Star Sea. They had just arrived and they had already encountered such a situation. It could be seen that similar things were not uncommon in the disarray Star Sea. No wonder the old man said that the disarray Star Sea would definitely not disappoint us. Lin Yan said with a faint smile, recalling what the old man Dong Huang said before they left. Hearing that, Xiao Chen also smiled and nodded. Indeed, it looks like it won't be too boring. It's just that these people's cultivation is a little low. With Xiao Chen and Lin Yan's cultivation, they could clearly see the group's strength before they even showed themselves. Under the cover of the two's divine thoughts, this group of people could not hide at all. There were a total of about 200 people, and the strongest among them were only 2 experts at the Ancient Era's level. There were not even many experts at the World Lord's level. Although there were many people, to Xiao Chen and Lin Yan, they were too weak and could not arouse their interest at all. However, Xiao Chen and Lin Yan saw through the group's strength, but this group of people could not see through Xiao Chen and Lin Yan at all. After blocking Xiao Chen and the rest's spatial spirit boat, this group of people quickly came to the deck one after another. The Ancient Era's expert at the head even sneered. Looks like a big fish. A good spatial spirit boat. With just a glance, this person could see that Xiao Chen and the rest's spatial spirit boat was not simple. Although they were all spatial spirit boats, there was a huge difference in their levels. Xiao Chen's spatial spirit boat was the best, and its value was at least equal to 100 ordinary spatial spirit boats. This time, even if Xiao Chen and the rest did not have any treasures on them, this spatial spirit boat alone was enough to make them rich. After all, top-grade spatial spirit vessels were not rare. Hearing this, Xiao Chen, Lin Yan, and the others ignored him and just looked at him quietly. Facing this, that person was slightly startled. However, he quickly came back to his senses and sneered. You shouldn't be from the scattered star seas, right? You should know that there are many rules here. Because of the old man Dong Huang's suggestion, Xiao Chen and the others did not take the spatial spirit boat of the Emperor Dong's palace, because it would lose a lot of fun. Even in the disordered Star Sea, the name of the Emperor Dong's palace was enough to strike fear into the hearts of many. No one dared to provoke it. Wouldn't that be boring? Moreover, Xiao Chen and the others were here to gain experience, so there was no need for them to do so. Because of this, these people did not know the identities of Xiao Chen and the others. If they did, they would not have dared to provoke the experts from Emperor Dong's palace. Rules? Interesting, we really don't know the rules of the scattered star seas. Hearing this, Lin Yan said with a chuckle. Hearing this, the leader was immediately delighted. As expected, they had just entered the disordered star seas. This meant that they were in the bag this time. One had to know that under normal circumstances, those who had just entered the chaotic star ocean were the easiest to deal with, regardless of their cultivation base. The reason was very simple. It was nothing more than xenophobia. there was no real overlord in the entire disordered star seas. It was a situation where heroes rose together, and the various major forces intertwined with each other. It was extremely chaotic. For people like them who made a living by robbing others, they actually had their own backers. Therefore, it was safer to deal with outsiders because these people basically had no connections in the disordered star seas. Moreover, under normal circumstances, when new people arrived at a new place, they would usually choose to keep the peace. As expected, after confirming that Xiao Chen and the others were newcomers, this person's aura became even stronger. The rules are simple. Since it's your first time in the disordered star seas, you naturally have to pay with your lives. Hand over your treasures and leave this spatial spirit boat, then you can leave. Pay with our lives? Hearing this, Xiao Chen and Lin Yun looked at each other and smiled. They couldn't remember how many years it had been since they heard this phrase. They didn't expect to encounter it as soon as they entered the disordered star seas. Interesting. What if we don't pay? Looking indifferently at this person, Xiao Chen opened his mouth and said. Hearing this, the person's face instantly darkened. Don't pay? You can try. Following these words, the rest of the people released their auras one after another, as if they were about to attack at any moment. In the face of what was happening here, the people coming and going didn't care, and no one stopped for it. It was obvious that these people were already used to this kind of thing. In their opinion, this kind of thing was as common as eating and drinking. It happened almost every day. In fact, in the East Star Continent, they weren't the only group engaged in this kind of business. In total, there were thousands of such groups in the East Star Continent. They circled around the East Star Continent, specifically choosing targets to attack. After they succeeded, the treasures would be distributed to the forces behind them. It could be said that this kind of business had formed a perfect chain. As for the group of people in front of Xiao Chen and the others, they weren't the strongest. In fact, they could be said to be the weakest. Facing the pressure of hundreds of people, Xiao Chen and Lin Yun didn't make a move. They only gave Lin Yuan and the others a look. Leave this group of people to Lin Yuan and the others. They could completely crush them. You're courting death. Seeing that Xiao Chen and the others not only didn't submit, but also took the initiative to attack, the leader was immediately furious. However, when Lin Yuan and Long Qing attacked, the leader's expression changed drastically. Ancient creatures, previously, he couldn't see through Xiao Chen and Lin Yun's cultivation at all. Now, he still couldn't see through it. However, he could clearly sense the cultivation of Lin Yuan and the others. This group of people were all experts at the ancient creature level. How is this possible? One had to know that even in the scattered star sea, ancient creatures were considered absolute experts. The existence of the divine ancestor realm was enough to support a large force and become a giant. As for the war ancestor realm king, that was a dragon that showed its head but not its tail. It was almost impossible to see them normally. Although there were definitely war ancestor realm kings in the scattered star sea, no one knew how many there were. But now, the target he randomly chose was actually filled with so many ancient creatures. This caused the leader's expression to change drastically. Although they had the advantage in numbers, if they fought, they would all be wiped out. They weren't a match for them at all. In an instant, the leader's face turned ashen. Who would have thought that the target he chose would be so strong? Begging for collection, begging for monthly votes, begging for recommendations. Chapter 3206. He knew that he had bitten off more than he could chew. With the strength that Xiao Chen and Lin Yun had displayed, it would not be a problem for them to annihilate a powerful force. Everyone, please listen to me. This is a misunderstanding. We will leave now. How about that? The man spoke straightforwardly. However, it would not be so easy for them to leave now. Xiao Chen and Lin Yun ignored the man. As for Lin Yuan and Long Qing, they did not receive any orders. Naturally, they chose to attack directly. Seeing that his subordinates had been killed in just one move, the leader's face turned extremely ugly. He admitted that he was not a match for Xiao Chen and the others. However, he naturally had his own ways to survive in the East Star Continent for such a long time. "Stop, I am from the Heaven Fiend Hall." The Heaven Fiend Hall was not unfamiliar to many warriors in the Disarray Star Sea, especially in the East Star Continent. Although the entire East Star Continent was vast and there were many forces, there were 4 forces that were the most powerful. Each of them ruled a part of the East Star Continent. The Heaven Fiend Hall was one of them. Although it was not certain whether the Heaven Fiend Hall had a king of the warring ancestor realm, it had more than one divine ancestor realm expert. As for the ancient living beings and world lords, there were quite a number of them. In the past, every time he mentioned the Heaven Fiend Hall, everyone had to give him some face. This was because everyone knew that the Heaven Fiend Hall was not to be trifled with. If they offended the Heaven Fiend Hall, they would not be able to move an inch in the East Star Continent. However, it was a pity that they had encountered Xiao Chen and Lin Yun this time. Not to mention that the two of them did not know about the Heaven Fiend Hall. Even if they did, with their personalities, they would not care at all. "Damn it, you dare to attack us. The Heaven Fiend Hall will not let you off." Seeing that Xiao Chen and the others had no intention of stopping, even if they used the Heaven Fiend Hall, it would not work. For a moment, the leader was completely anxious. If he had known earlier, he would not have attacked Xiao Chen and the others. Unfortunately, it was too late for regrets. None of them could escape. Xiao Chen and the others were slaughtering crazily, and from beginning to end, no one else came to interfere. They only glanced from afar and then left. The battle ended very quickly, and the result was self-evident. This group of people was easily annihilated by Xiao Chen and the others. After settling the matter, Xiao Chen and the others directly entered the East Star Continent, not caring about what would happen next. Unlike the Eastern region, the East Star Continent didn't have any rules at all. One could enter and leave at will. It was precisely because of this that this place was filled with all sorts of people. They went directly to the nearest city. As soon as they entered the city, Xiao Chen and the others found countless eyes staring at them. Even if he were to use his toes, he would know what these people were thinking. They still wanted to snatch the treasure and kill him. Everyone could see that Xiao Chen and the others were outsiders, and outsiders were naturally the best targets. "Little brother, ignore them." Long Qing was obviously unhappy with these gazes. In this regard, Xiao Chen didn't care at all. Some people in the dark couldn't help but want to attack, but without exception, they were all stopped. "Big brother, what are you doing? They are obviously outsiders." "I know, but just now, even the people from the Heaven Fiend Hall were killed by them." "What? Don't provoke them. This group of people is not simple." People who could survive in the scattered Star Sea were definitely shrewd, not to mention their talent and strength. After all, idiots wouldn't live long here. Therefore, many people who were originally ready to attack gave up after learning that Xiao Chen and the others had killed the people from the Heaven Fiend Hall. Being able to kill the people from the Heaven Fiend Hall proved that the strength of Xiao Chen and the others was far from what these people could compare with. At this time, if they wanted to jump out to kill and rob, they would be courting death. However, no matter how strong Xiao Chen and the others were, in the eyes of many people, they were already a group of dead people. Offending the Heaven Fiend Hall was basically a death sentence in the East Star Continent. No matter how strong they were, could they compete with the Heaven Fiend Hall? What was more coincidental was that there was a branch of the Heaven Fiend Hall in this city. Now, Xiao Chen and the others were like turtles in a jar. They didn't know about this. After strolling around the city, they found a restaurant to drink and rest. The continuous journey made everyone a little tired. Since it was an experience, there was naturally no need to rush. While drinking, they chatted. Not long after, Monk and Taoist came back. Seeing this, Lin Yun smiled and said, "How is it? Did you find out?" These two were extremely talkative, so Lin Yun directly asked the two of them to go out and find out some information about the East Star Continent. Facing Lin Yun's inquiry, Monk poured himself a glass of wine, drank it in one gulp, and said with a smile. "Of course, I have found out who this poor monk is." "Crazy monk, cut the crap. Hey, this East Star continent is a little interesting." According to what monk and Taoist said, the East Star continent was divided into 4 continents. The area of each continent was extremely huge, no smaller than the total area of a universe. After the 4 continents were divided, each continent had a big force that was extremely powerful and suppressed the other big forces. Now, they were in Tianzhou, which was under the influence of the Heaven Fiend Hall. Heaven Fiend Hall could be said to be a sect or a gang. They could be said to be guilty of all kinds of evil and would do anything. Robbing, killing, selling spiritual treasures, elixir pills, and so on. After telling Xiao Chen and the others what they knew, Xiao Chen nodded slightly after hearing about monk and Taoist. It was similar to what he had imagined. I have another piece of news. This is big news." Seeing that Xiao Chen and the others didn't seem to care too much about what he had said just now, Monk said with a smile, as if he had another big news to share. In response, Lin Yun scolded in annoyance. "If you have something to say, just say it. Why are you hesitating?" This is big news. Do you remember the group of people we killed before entering the East Star continent? They were all from the Heaven Fiend Hall. Although they weren't official members, they were still disciples. In other words, we have now become enemies with the Heaven Fiend Hall. And with the Heaven Fiend Hall's character, they will definitely not let it go. After entering the East Star continent, they had already become enemies with the Heaven Fiend Hall, one of the 4 big forces. This was definitely fatal news for others. However, to Xiao Chen and the others, their expressions didn't change. It was as if they didn't care about the Heaven Fiend Hall at all. Begging for collection, begging for monthly votes, begging for recommendations. Chapter 3207. The monk finished speaking in high spirits. But in the end, there was no reaction from the crowd at all. For a moment, the monk muttered unhappily. "What kind of expression is that? Can't you show some reaction?" "What reaction do you want?" "That is Heaven Fiend Hall, one of the 4 superpowers in the East Star mainland. Aren't you worried at all? Are you worried?" Monk thought that everyone would be shocked when he heard the news. But who would have thought that after hearing about Heaven Fiend Hall, no matter if it was Xiao Chen, Lin Yun, Lin Yuan, or Long Qing, there was no reaction at all. It was as if they were not worried about Heaven Fiend Hall at all. This hit Monk hard. Of course, Xiao Chen and the rest did not take Heaven Fiend Hall seriously either. Only the Taoist priest revealed a smile. "I heard that Heaven Fiend Hall has many good things. Do you think we should take them?" Everyone knew the personalities of monk and priest very well. When they saw priest's expression, they knew that he was eyeing their treasures again. Speaking of which, Heaven Fiend Hall did have many good treasures. Otherwise, they would not have become one of the 4 superpowers in the East Star mainland. "You can't be, what's the big deal? Heaven Fiend Hall is not a righteous sect. If we rob them, we will be doing justice for the heavens." Faced with Lin Yuan's question, the Taoist priest said righteously. The Heaven Fiend Hall had not even come to seek revenge, but the Taoist priest had already set his sights on them. This was like a bandit meeting a tyrant. Heaven Fiend Hall probably did not expect that a group of outer sect disciples would unintentionally pick a killer. On the other side, Xiao Chen and the rest of the Heaven Fiend Hall branch in the city had also received the news. A group of outer sect disciples had been killed while they were picking their targets. Heaven Fiend Hall was furious when they heard the news. In their opinion, only Heaven Fiend Hall had the right to kill. Who would dare to touch Heaven Fiend Hall's people? Although that group of people was just a group of outer sect disciples of Heaven Fiend Hall, they still represented Heaven Fiend Hall. Now that they had been killed, Heaven Fiend Hall naturally would not let this matter rest. In the main hall, a group of senior members of the Heaven Fiend Hall were gathered together. Leading them was the Hall Master of the Heaven Fiend Hall's City Protection Branch. His name was Li Shan, and his cultivation was at the ancient era's complete realm. He was only a step away from the divine ancestor realm. As the branch hall master of the Heaven Fiend Hall, Li Shan gave others the impression that he was a gentle and refined scholar. Especially when he smiled, it was like a spring breeze. No one would believe that such a person was the hall master of the Heaven Fiend Hall. However, such a person was infamous within the city. The number of ancient living beings that had died at his hands had long exceeded the number of fingers on one hand. It could be said that this person's hands were stained with blood. "Tell me, how should we deal with this?" Li Shan asked plainly as he looked at the crowd below. His face was expressionless, and no one knew what he was thinking. They were all experts from the Protector Division. Among them, the two deputy hall masters also had the cultivation of ancient creatures. As for the rest, they were at least world lords. Just the Protector Division alone had such strength. It could be seen that the strength of the Heaven Fiend Hall was not unfounded. Hall Master, although those people were just outer sect members who went to Wuguang, no matter what, they were still members of the Heaven Fiend Hall. Now that they have been killed, we have to take action. That's right. If we don't do anything, the outside world will think that the Heaven Fiend Hall is afraid of that group of outsiders. However, that group of outsiders is not weak. It is said that the people who took action are all ancient living beings. It is not wise to take action rashly. Oh, they are merely ancient living beings. What is there to be afraid of? The Heaven Fiend Hall has a divine ancestor realm ancestor. Why should we be afraid of them? That's right. This concerns the reputation of the Heaven Fiend Hall. How can we just let it go like this? The crowd spoke one after another. Some felt that they could not let Xiao Chen, Lin Yun, and the others off. However, at the same time, there were also people who felt that it was not wise to take action rashly. First of all, the cultivation of Xiao Chen and the others was not low. Based on the current situation, the City Protector Division did not have the ability to deal with them. They could only ask for help from the main hall. In addition, they did not know the identity of Xiao Chen and the others. If their background was too great, the Heaven Fiend Hall would not be able to get away with it. In that case, there was no need to provoke such an existence for the sake of a few outer sect members. Everyone had their own opinions and no one could convince anyone else. Listening to the argument below, Li Shan did not interrupt from the beginning to the end. His face was still calm. It was not until the crowd had quietened down that Li Shan spoke slowly. A group of people with cultivation at the level of ancient living beings. Moreover, there are two people who have not taken action. I don't know what their cultivation is. Do you think that the Heaven Fiend Hall should provoke such people? When Li Shan said this, the crowd did not react for a while. They did not know what he meant. Were they going to let it go just like that? But this was not Li Shan's character. Ever since he became the City Protector Division Hall Master, Li Shan's style of doing things was extremely ruthless. Anyone who provoked the Heaven Fiend Hall did not live to see the next day. Not to mention killing hundreds of outer sect members of the Heaven Fiend Hall like this. Unable to guess Li Shan's intentions, the crowd did not dare to speak carelessly. Although Li Shan was only a Division Hall Master, his position in the Heaven Fiend Hall was not low. It could be said that he was highly valued by the main Hall Master. Now that he had become the City Protector Division Hall Master, it was said that he had only become a Division Hall Master to gain experience. Soon, Li Shan would definitely be transferred back to the main hall. When that time came, he would directly become the Heaven Fiend Hall's higher-ups. Seeing that the crowd was silent, Li Shan stood up and said with a smile, "Invite those people over. Go and invite those people over. Tell them that I will personally host a banquet to apologize for what happened before. Remember, you must be polite and respectful. Host a banquet to apologize?" Who would have thought that Li Shan would actually make such a decision? Others had killed people from the Heaven Fiend Hall. Not only did the Heaven Fiend Hall not pursue the matter, they even took the initiative to apologize. This was something that had never happened before. From the beginning of its establishment, the Heaven Fiend Hall had been known for being overbearing and ruthless. Now that they had to apologize to others, many of the people present found it difficult to accept. "Hall Master, I'm afraid this is a little inappropriate. It's fine if you don't pursue the matter, but if you take the initiative to apologize, where will the Heaven Fiend Hall put its face?" As the person's voice fell, the smile on Li Shan's face disappeared. He looked at the person indifferently and said in an extremely calm tone, "Are you doubting me?" His tone was very gentle, but when the person heard it, his expression changed drastically. "Begging for your collection, begging for monthly votes, begging for recommendations." Chapter 3208. Li Shan looked coldly at the person below. Faced with Li Shan's stare, the person shuddered and broke out in cold sweat. Don't be fooled by Li Shan's gentle and refined appearance. He seemed to be very easy to talk to. In fact, he was definitely not a kind person. He could even be said to be a demon. He was vicious and merciless. Once, when Li Shan massacred a large sect, he did not even let the children off. He was a person who did not even bat an eyelid. Faced with Li Shan's attitude, the expert from Heaven Fiend Hall quickly bowed and said, "Hall Master, please calm down. That's not what I meant." Although Li Shan had not been the Hall Master of the City Defense Hall for long, he had already turned this place into an iron bucket. From this, one could see his ability. In the entire City Defense Hall, from top to bottom, there was only one voice, and that was Li Shan's voice. No one could insist on what he said. The coldness in Li Shan's eyes slowly dissipated. After saying this, he left. "Remember, it's an invitation. If anyone messes up this matter, they will have to kill themselves." After saying this, he left. At the same time, everyone started to move. Faced with the task assigned by Li Shan, no one dared to go against it. Xiao Chen and the rest did not know that Li Shan had no intention of pursuing the matter. He even took the initiative to invite them to a banquet to apologize. After eating and drinking to their heart's content, the group left the restaurant and came face to face with a group of people. Looking at the clothes of this group of people, it was obvious that they were from Heaven Fiend Hall. They came quite quickly. "But with so few people, aren't they looking down on us?" Lin Yuan said coldly. Lin Yan smiled at Lin Yuan's words. "Maybe they are not here to denounce us?" Without the slightest bit of nervousness, they watched the people from Heaven Fiend Hall come to them. This action attracted many people around them to stop and watch. Some people even started to whisper, "What are the people from Heaven Fiend Hall trying to do?" "I don't know. But being targeted by Heaven Fiend Hall is not a good thing. Don't you know? When this group of people entered the East Star Continent, they killed people from the Heaven Fiend Hall. Now, the Heaven Fiend Hall must be here to punish them. If that's the case, then I'm afraid these people are doomed." Sigh. They had killed a member of the Heaven Fiend Hall and were now being targeted by the Heaven Fiend Hall. It was obvious what would happen to Xiao Chen and the others. The number of clans and sects that the Heaven Fiend Hall had destroyed in the city alone was not small. Hundreds and thousands of people had died at every turn. The terror of the Heaven Fiend Hall could only be described with fresh blood. The surrounding crowd felt that Xiao Chen and the others were dead for sure. However, what no one expected was that when Xiao Chen and the others were still alive, the people from Heaven Fiend Hall actually bowed in unison. The leader said politely with a smile on his face, "Everyone, this is the first time you've come to our city. There were some misunderstandings before. Our hall leader would like to invite all of you to a banquet to apologize for what happened before." Not only were they not here to look for trouble, they were even going to take the initiative to apologize. As soon as these words came out, the surrounding people were completely speechless. Was this still the tyrannical and cruel Heaven Fiend Hall? Not to mention that Xiao Chen and the others had killed a member of the Heaven Fiend Hall. Even if they had just been disrespectful to the Heaven Fiend Hall, they would still be dead. But now, the people from the Heaven Fiend Hall had actually taken the initiative to apologize. Who could believe this? Not to mention the others, even Lin Yuan and Long Qing were confused. They were originally prepared to take action, but who would have thought that these guys were actually here to apologize? Only Xiaoqin and Lin Yun looked normal. They looked at each other and Lin Yun said with a smile. It seems that the Heaven Fiend Hall leader is a smart person. Maybe. The two of them said to each other. As soon as they finished speaking, their gazes fell on the group of martial artists from the Heaven Fiend Hall in front of them. The leader was an ancient martial artist. It could be seen that his status was not low. What if we don't go? The corners of Xiao Chen's mouth curled up as he said with a smile. Hearing this, the faces of the people from the Heaven Fiend Hall darkened. The hall leader had the intention to invite them to a banquet to apologize. How dare this group of people not appreciate his kindness? The leader was a little angry in his heart, but he quickly revealed a smile and spoke in an extremely respectful manner. We naturally do not dare to force our distinguished guests. But if possible, we hope that you can attend the banquet. Our hall leader sincerely wants to apologize to all of you and resolve the previous misunderstanding. Good heavens, was this still the Heaven Fiend Hall? How could they have such a humble attitude? Looking at the attitude of the Heaven Fiend Hall, Xiaoqin became more and more interested in the hall leader of the city defense branch. According to the information obtained by the monk and the Taoist priest, the hall leader of the city defense branch should only be an ancient martial artist. Logically speaking, Xiaoqin would not take such a cultivation level seriously. It was too weak. If Xiaoqin wanted to, he could crush him with one finger. However, the hall leader of the city defense branch had not seen them before. It was as if he already knew something. He did not even hesitate to embarrass the Heaven Fiend Hall in order to apologize to them. That was interesting. His gaze lightly locked onto the leader. Facing Xiao Chen's gaze, the leader did not know why, but he felt an invisible pressure enveloping his entire body in an instant. This pressure did not come from his cultivation level, but from his intuition that he was in danger. His intuition told him that the Xiaoqin in front of him was an existence that he absolutely could not afford to offend. He was an existence that could easily kill him. When this thought appeared in his mind, even he himself was shocked. How was this possible? He was an ancient martial artist, but Xiaoqin actually made him feel so pressured with just one gaze. What cultivation level did he have? Moreover, from the beginning to the end, he had taken the initiative to sense Xiao Chen's cultivation level many times. However, he realized that he could not sense it at all. It was like a clay ox entering the sea. There was no result at all. After coming to this conclusion, the leader was a little nervous. If he could not even sense the cultivation level, it could only mean that the strength of the other party was far beyond his own. He was at least an expert of the Divine Ancestor realm. The Divine Ancestor realm was an existence that the city defense branch could not contend with. Even Li Shan's cultivation level was only at the complete ancient martial artist realm. He was only one step away from the Divine Ancestor realm. He seemed to understand why Li Shan had made such a decision. It was indeed not good for the Heaven Fiend Hall to make an enemy of such an expert. Xiaoqin did not speak, and he did not dare to say anything. After more than 10 breaths of time, Xiaoqin finally said something calmly. Tell your hall leader that we will be there later. After saying that, he directly left. Hearing this, the leader could not help but secretly heave a sigh of relief. No matter what, he had finally completed the task that the hall leader had given him. Request collection, request monthly votes, request recommendation. Chapter 3209. When he had faced Xiaoqin earlier, the leader had felt immense pressure. Now that Xiaoqin and the rest had left, he could not help but heave a sigh of relief. This group of people is definitely not simple, he thought to himself. Now, he was certain that Xiaoqin and the rest were definitely not ordinary people. When they returned to the city defense division, the first thing this person did was look for Li Shan and report respectfully. Hall Master, I have found them and they said that they will attend the banquet later. Well, then go and prepare. Make sure everything is done well and don't screw up. In response, Li Shan had been reading the book in his hand all this time. He did not even lift his head as he replied, as though he had seen something interesting. Li Shan was rather strange. His cultivation talent was extremely high. Otherwise, he would not have reached the level of an ancient creature at such a young age. Although he was definitely incomparable to Xiao Yao and Xiao Lao, Li Shan was definitely considered young among ancient creatures. However, compared to cultivation, Li Shan gave off the feeling that he preferred reading. Moreover, Li Shan was indeed immersed in a sea of books most of the time every day. Upon hearing this, the person left respectfully. Li Shan was once again immersed in the sea of books. The room was extremely quiet. Are you very interested in the Hall Master of the City Defense Division? On the other side, Lin Yun asked Xiao Chen after they found an inn and sat together. In response, Xiao Chen smiled slightly. I am somewhat interested. My intuition tells me that this person should be very interesting. Originally, Xiao Chen could have completely ignored Li Shan. However, Xiao Chen had agreed to attend the banquet in the end. This meant that Xiao Chen also wanted to meet the so-called Hall Master of the City Defense Division. In response, Lin Yun smiled slightly and did not say much. Since Xiao Chen had already made a decision, he naturally would not object. Moreover, it was not a big deal to make a trip there. Soon, it was evening. The Heaven Fiend Hall's branch was easy to find. It was located in the center of the city. It occupied a large area, just like a palace. In Mao City, anyone would know the location of the Heaven Fiend Hall's branch. Hence, Xiao Chen and his group easily found it. As the only ruler of the city, this place was deserted. Everyone seemed to be deliberately avoiding this place, not daring to get too close. Just as Xiao Chen's group arrived, a scholarly man walked out from outside the door. This person was none other than Li Shan himself. He personally came out to welcome Xiao Chen and the others. Moreover, his gaze immediately locked onto Xiao Chen and Lin Yun. I say, Taoist, this person doesn't seem to be weak. Behind Xiao Chen and Lin Yun, the monk whispered to the Taoist priest beside him. Both of them were extremely sensitive to auras. In response, the Taoist priest nodded and said, he has the cultivation of an ancient creature at the Great Fulfillment Realm and should have touched the threshold of the Divine Ancestor Realm. In terms of strength, he is probably on par with us. It should be known that the monk and the Taoist priest were almost invincible among the ancient creatures. In the same realm, there were very few people who could be compared to the two of them. However, Li Shan actually received such a high evaluation from the Taoist priest. Moreover, the Taoist priest's words were not flattering at all. Li Shan was not worthy of the Taoist priest's flattery. He really felt a trace of threat from Li Shan. This guy was really strange. It was no wonder that Xiao Chen would be interested in him. While the two of them were talking, Li Shan had already arrived in front of Xiao Chen and Lin Yun. He took the initiative to cup his hands and bow. I am Li Shan, the Hall Master of this branch in Mao City. Greetings, everyone. You're too polite. In response, Xiao Chen only nodded slightly. His attitude was somewhat indifferent. However, Li Shan did not care at all. He still warmly let everyone in. In the main hall, a banquet had already been prepared. The standard was very high, and the dishes were all of the best. At least in Mao City, there was probably no better place. Everyone took their seats in order. Li Shan personally poured wine for Xiao Chen, Lin Yun, and the others. Not only Xiao Chen, Lin Yun, but also Lin Yuan, Long Qing, the monk, and the Taoist priest. Li Shan did not treat them differently. Everything that happened before was a misunderstanding. I apologize here first. I hope everyone will not take it to heart. I will drink first as a sign of respect. With that, Li Shan drank the wine in his cup in one gulp. Seeing this, Xiao Chen smiled and also drank it in one gulp. This Li Shan was indeed somewhat interesting. From the moment he came in until now, this guy did not say anything else. He only kept apologizing. It was as if he really wanted to apologize for what happened before. However, Xiaochen knew that this was definitely not his main goal. Inviting them to the banquet to apologize was just an excuse. What Xiaochen wanted to know now was what exactly Li Shan wanted to do. However, curiosity aside, Xiaochen remained unmoved on the surface. He had an indifferent expression as he waited for Li Shan to continue. Everyone chatted as they drank. The two vice hall masters of the branch accompanied them. Of course, these two people definitely did not have any right to speak. Everyone should be new to the Scattered Star Sea, right? Yes, we have indeed just arrived. I see. Although the Scattered Star Sea is quite famous in the Fire Phoenix Galaxy, to be honest, almost everyone who lives here is forced to do so. To be honest, compared to the other 5 major regions, it is much more difficult to survive in the Scattered Star Sea. First of all, there is the law. Unlike the other 5 major regions, the Scattered Star Sea can be said to be a place outside the law. Whoever has the bigger fist has the right. Moreover, because there is no real overlord here, the Scattered Star Sea is even more chaotic. To be honest, if there were other options, who would want to live in such a place outside the law? In addition, the geographical location of the Scattered Star Sea is equivalent to being in the middle of the 5 major regions. It is incomparable. By the way, Senior Xiaochen, Senior Lin Yun, you should be from the eastern region, right? After chatting for a while, everyone seemed to have become friends. The main reason was that Li Shan's way of dealing with people gave off an extremely amiable feeling. Who would believe that such a person was the Hall Master of the Heaven Fiend Hall? If he said that he was a well-read scholar, no one would doubt it. Previously, it seemed like they were chatting, but Li Shan was constantly inquiring about Xiaochen and the others. As for Xiaochen and the others, naturally, they had already sensed it. When he heard Li Shan's words, Xiaochen smiled slightly, raised his wine cup, and took a sip unhurriedly before speaking slowly. Hall Master Li, you are a smart person. There is no need for smart people to speak in such a secretive manner. Although I don't know what you are thinking, I think it is better to speak frankly. There is no need to beat around the bush. What do you say? Begging for your collection, begging for monthly votes, begging for recommendations. Chapter 32:10. From the beginning until now, Li Shan had been warm and courteous. It was as if he sincerely wanted to apologize to Xiaochen and the others. However, Xiaochen knew that the guy in front of him was not as simple as he seemed. Moreover, with Li Shan's status, if he was only here to apologize for what had happened before, there was no need for him to go to such an extent. He was too humble. Therefore, Xiaochen was certain that this guy had ulterior motives. He was a very smart person. If he had done so much, he must have other motives. Xiaochen was also very curious about this. He wanted to know what Li Shan was up to. Li Shan was slightly taken aback. He casually waved his hand. When the 2 deputy hall masters saw this, they also took the initiative to leave the main hall. When only Xiaochen and the others were left in the main hall, Li Shan spoke slowly. Senior Xiaochen, please forgive me. I did not mean to hide it, but this is a serious matter. I have to be careful. What are you saying? Are you planning to force me to wait? Of course not. I do have something to ask of you, but I don't dare to force you. If you don't want to, then I won't say anything. Li Shan naturally could not force Xiaochen and the others because he did not have the right to do so. As soon as he finished speaking, Li Shan did not wait for Xiaochen to reply. I don't know how much you know about the Heaven Fiend Hall. This time, I hope that you can help me. He did not say what the matter was, but it was definitely related to the Heaven Fiend Hall. However, Li Shan's meaning was very clear. Li Shan would only continue to speak if Xiaochen and the others agreed to help. If Xiaochen and the others refused, then it would be as if nothing had happened today, and Li Shan would not say anything more. Lin Yun looked at Li Shan calmly. This time, it was Lin Yun who smiled. Since you want to cooperate, shouldn't Hall Master Li show some sincerity? Sincerity? Hearing this, Li Shan frowned slightly, but he still pretended to be calm. I've already shown my sincerity from the beginning. May I know what Senior Lin Yun means by this? Li Shan thought that he had performed very well from the beginning, but now, Lin Yun still felt that he was not sincere. This inevitably made Li Shan a little unhappy, but in the next second, as Lin Yun's voice spread, Li Shan's expression instantly changed. Oh, you even want to hide your true cultivation? Is this the sincerity that Hall Master Li spoke of? What? Upon hearing this, Li Shan's expression changed drastically. As the Hall Master of the City Protector Hall, he had the cultivation of an ancient living creature in the complete ancient era. But now, Lin Yun pointed it out with a single sentence. This made Li Shan extremely shocked. That's right. Although everyone thought that Li Shan's cultivation was only at the level of an ancient living creature, no one knew that Li Shan had already broken through to the Holy Ancestor realm more than 10 years ago. Moreover, because of an opportunity in his early years, Li Shan had a secret treasure in his hands. This treasure only had one function, and that was to hide one's cultivation. Even a Holy Ancestor realm expert would not be able to see through it. This was why even the experts in the Heaven Fiend Hall did not know that Li Shan had broken through to the Holy Ancestor realm. But now, Lin Yun had seen through it, which made Li Shan extremely shocked. In fact, from the beginning, Li Shan had secretly sensed the cultivation of Xiao Chen and the others. Lin Yuan, Long Qing, monk, Taoist, and Lin, who were indeed ancient living creatures. Li Shan could clearly sense that. But for Xiao Chen and Lin Yun, to be honest, Li Shan had exhausted all means but could not see through their cultivation. It was like a vast ocean. One simply did not know how vast it was. This was also the reason why Li Shan was so respectful to Xiao Chen and Lin Yun. Because he could not see through them, he became more and more fearful. He already had some guesses in his heart. In addition, Lin Yun had seen through his concealment at a glance. For a moment, Li Shan guessed in disbelief. Could it be that these two people were not Holy Ancestor Realm experts but King of the War Ancestor Realm? That was impossible. King of the War Ancestor Realm was a legendary existence in the scattered Star Ocean. Even in the other 4 major regions, they were existences that only existed in the Imperial Palace. As strong as the Heaven Fiend Hall was, Li Shan did not know of any King of the War Ancestor Realm. It was rumored that there was a War Ancestor Realm ancestor overseeing it. However, Li Shan had joined the Heaven Fiend Hall for so long and had never seen one. Therefore, he naturally treated it as just a rumor. Sensing that Xiao Chen and Lin Yun were most likely King of the War Ancestor Realm, even Li Shan found it difficult to remain calm. Although the Holy Ancestor Realm and the War Ancestor Realm were only one realm apart, the gap between them was not as simple as it seemed on the surface. The difference between the two could be said to be like heaven and earth. There was no comparison at all. After being stunned for a long time, Xiao Chen and Lin Yun did not disturb him. They drank their wine and waited for Li Shan's next answer. Finally, after about the time it took to brew a cup of tea, Li Shan exhaled a mouthful of turbid air. It was as if he had thought it through and made a desperate decision. He bowed to Xiao Chen and Lin Yun. Seniors, please forgive me. I did not hide anything. It's just that this matter is of great importance. Yes, I did hide my cultivation. As he spoke, Li Shan's body gradually emitted a faint aura of the Holy Ancestor Realm. Although the aura was very weak, only Xiao Chen and the others could feel it. However, this already showed Li Shan's true cultivation. In response, Xiao Chen and Lin Yun both smiled slightly. As a branch hall master of the Heaven Fiend Hall, Li Shan actually had to hide his cultivation. This was interesting. Logically speaking, as a member of the Heaven Fiend Hall, Li Shan breaking through to the Holy Ancestor Realm was definitely a good thing for him. At least with such a cultivation, it was definitely enough for Li Shan to enter the upper echelons of the Heaven Fiend Hall and truly enter the core of power. However, Li Shan would rather hide his cultivation than let others know. There must be a secret behind this. Looking at Li Shan with interest, Lin Yun said unhurriedly. It seems that your request is not small. Is it related to the Heaven Fiend Hall? In one sentence, Lin Yan said what Li Shan was thinking. He had spent so much effort to hide his cultivation. It must be related to the Heaven Fiend Hall. Otherwise, why wouldn't he do it? Since the conversation had already reached this point, Li Shan did not hide it anymore. He nodded and said bluntly, "It is indeed related to the Heaven Fiend Hall. This is also something that I want to ask the two seniors for. I hope that the two seniors can help. After this, there will be a great reward." There was no need to hide it any longer, so it was better to just say it directly. Please add it to your collection, monthly vote, recommend it. Chapter 32:11. I want to destroy the Heaven Fiend Hall. At this point, Li Shan no longer hesitated and directly stated his purpose. Upon hearing this, even Xiaoqin and Lin Yan were a little surprised. Of course, the two of them were not afraid of the Heaven Fiend Hall, but they were surprised that Li Shan actually wanted to destroy the Heaven Fiend Hall. It should be known that he was a member of the Heaven Fiend Hall. Although he was not a real high-level member, a branch hall master was already considered the backbone of the Heaven Fiend Hall. Moreover, according to the information that Xiaoqin and the rest had received, Li Shan had been in the Heaven Fiend Hall for a long time. After so many years, he actually wanted to destroy the force that he was in. In that case, did he just come up with this idea recently, or did Li Shan already have this goal in mind from the very beginning? If it was the latter, then Li Shan was not simple. At least, his character and scheming were impeccable. You want us to help you? That's right. There is no free lunch in this world. What can you pay for this? Xiaoqin asked curiously. To be honest, they were not afraid of the Heaven Fiend Hall. However, it was meaningless to offend such a powerful force for no reason. Therefore, it all depended on the conditions that Li Shan could offer. Li Shan was not surprised by this. After all, this was something that was inevitable. As one of the four major forces in the East Star Continent, Heaven Fiend Hall has countless treasures. If the two seniors can help me destroy the Heaven Fiend Hall, I can give up everything and all the treasures will belong to the two seniors. Although the two seniors may not be interested in these treasures, it should be enough for the others to break through to the Holy Ancestor realm. There should be no problem. Destroying the Heavenly Fiend Hall and giving everything to Xiaoqin and the others was a bit surprising. If that was the case, wouldn't that mean that Li Shan wouldn't get anything? Xiaoqin asked curiously. Do you have a grudge against the Heaven Fiend Hall? Since it was not for benefits, it must be because of a grudge. In this regard, Li Shan replied straightforwardly. Yes. At this moment, Li Shan's eyes were filled with monstrous hatred. His face was ferocious and his eyes were bloodshot. He looked like a demon that had crawled out of hell. He was a completely different person from his usual gentle and refined image. To be honest, I'm a direct descendant of the Li family. Next, Li Shan briefly explained everything that had happened between him and Heaven Fiend Hall. When Li Shan was young, he was a direct descendant of one of the great clans of the East Star Continent. Back then, although the Li family's strength could not be compared to an overlord like the Heaven Fiend Hall, it was not a problem for them to dominate a city. As the young master of the Li family, Li Shan's childhood could be said to be very blissful. Even though he was born in the Disarray Star Ocean and the East Star Continent, he still grew up in luxury. Unfortunately, a man's wealth was his own ruin. Under a stroke of luck, the Li clan obtained a valuable treasure. A portion of the inheritance left behind by a War Ancestor Realm King, as well as a War Ancestor Divine Weapon. This War Ancestor Divine Weapon was a War Ancestor Realm King's weapon and was extremely powerful. In other words, if two Divine Ancestor Realm experts were to fight and their cultivations were about the same, if one of them had a War Ancestor Realm Divine Weapon, he could almost crush the other. Originally, such an opportunity was definitely an opportunity for the Li clan to soar. Unfortunately, the Li clan did not have the strength to compete with it and had no ability to defend this War Ancestor Divine Weapon. Unfortunately, the news was leaked. Heaven Fiend Hall did not know how they found out about this, but there was no need to say more. Heaven Fiend Hall naturally took action and destroyed the entire Li clan to snatch the War Ancestor divine weapon. Li Shan finally escaped because of the protection of many Li clan members. Without the protection of his clan, Li Shan could be said to have experienced the lowest point of his life. During that time, Li Shan not only had to face the situation of being alone and helpless, he also had to face the pursuit of the Heaven Fiend Hall. When Li Shan thought of that period of time, the hatred in his heart could not help but gush out. It was also because of this hatred that Li Shan went through countless life and death experiences and did not hesitate to find a doctor to completely change his appearance and join the Heaven Fiend Hall. He knew very well that with his own strength, it was impossible for him to succeed in his revenge. The last way Li Shan could think of was to feed the tiger with his own body and sneak into the Heaven Fiend Hall to find an opportunity to take revenge. It was also because of this that Li Shan and the Heaven Fiend Hall went from an ordinary member to the position of the branch hall master. It was a pity that after so many years of hard work, Li Shan still could not see the slightest hope of revenge, even though he already had a divine ancestor realm cultivation. He still could not destroy the Heaven Fiend Hall. As one of the 4 major forces in the East Star Continent, the strength of the Heaven Fiend Hall's foundation was completely beyond Li Shan's imagination. This was also the reason why he hid his strength and was unwilling to enter the upper echelons of the Heaven Fiend Hall so quickly. Because there were many experts in the Heaven Fiend Hall, it was too easy to be exposed. There was only one chance. Before that, Li Shan could not let his years of hard work go to waste. Xiaochen said in a low voice. After listening to Li Shan's explanation, Xiaochen was silent for a moment before he spoke again. Your cultivation should be some kind of secret technique. With Xiaochen's eyesight, it was not difficult for him to see that Li Shan's divine ancestor realm cultivation was not increased through ordinary means. Senior, you are right. In this regard, Li Shan straightforwardly admitted, but Xiaochen frowned slightly. He had already roughly guessed the method Li Shan had used, which was to cultivate an evil cultivation method. From the aura that Li Shan had just revealed, Xiaochen felt an extremely familiar aura of an evil cultivation method. Li Shan had cultivated an evil cultivation method, and it was precisely because of this that he could break through to the divine ancestor realm. Evil cultivation methods were not only listed as taboo in the 5 major regions, but also in the scattered Star Ocean. Anyone who cultivated an evil cultivation method was like a rat crossing the street, and everyone wanted to beat them up. The only thing that Xiaochen found strange was that Li Shan had cultivated an evil cultivation method, and it seemed that his realm was not low, but how did he maintain his sanity? The reason why an evil cultivation method was listed as a taboo in the Fire Phoenix Galaxy was that it could erode a person's mind and eventually turn them into a monster that only knew how to kill. In the East region, there had been warriors who cultivated an evil cultivation method, and their minds had been eroded. However, Xiaochen did not see such a situation with Li Shan. As if he had guessed Xiaochen's thoughts, Li Shan took the initiative to explain before Xiaochen could speak. Actually, the reason why I can do this is entirely because of a treasure on me. Please add it to your collection, monthly vote, recommend it. Chapter 32:12. Even though he had cultivated an evil cultivation method, he was still able to maintain his consciousness and perfectly conceal his cultivation base. Even Xiaochen and Lin Yan could only confirm Li Shan's cultivation base after he revealed his aura. As Li Shan's voice fell, he slowly opened his mouth and a golden bead slowly flew out from his mouth. This thing, looking at the golden bead, Lin Yan's expression changed slightly. She glanced at Xiaochen without batting an eyelid. In response, Xiaochen nodded slightly. With their eyesight, it was not difficult for them to see that the golden bead was a true treasure called the Buddha Bone Relic. It was left behind by an eminent monk after he passed away, and it contained an extremely large amount of power. Xiaochen and Lin Yan were still fine, but when the monk saw the Buddha Bone Relic, he was completely stunned. To others, the Buddha Bone Relic might only be a treasure, but to a Buddhist like the monk, it was definitely a peerless treasure that could allow him to transform. That's right, although they were both Buddhists, the Buddha bone relic had a different meaning to the monk. Xiaochen and Lin Yan had obviously thought of this as well. At the same time, Li Shan spoke unhurriedly. If Senior is willing to help me, I'm willing to offer this Buddha bone relic to you after this matter is over. He could even give up the Buddha bone relic. As long as he had this Buddha bone relic, the monk would definitely be able to break through to the divine ancestor realm. For this monk, this was definitely a great opportunity. Are you sure? Without this Buddha bone relic, you won't be able to suppress the evil cultivation method in your body anymore. In response, Xiaochen said indifferently. The reason why Li Shan could still maintain his consciousness until now was because of this Buddha bone relic. Hearing this, Li Shan shook his head and said, "It's fine. I don't have much time left anyway. If I can take revenge, I'll be able to rest in peace." Cultivating an evil cultivation method would not only erode one's mind, but one's lifespan would also be constantly whittled away. It could be said that this was the price one had to pay with one's life. What Li Shan said was also the truth. He had been practicing the evil cultivation method for a long time. After such a long period of cultivation, his body had long been riddled with holes. Although his consciousness was preserved with the help of the Buddha bone relic, his lifespan was indeed running out. This was something that even the Buddha bone Sarira could not reverse. Because he didn't have much time left, Li Shan didn't have many thoughts about the Buddha bone relic. He only wanted revenge now. If Xiaochen and the others could help him, then even if he gave them the Buddha bone Sarira, so what? Hearing this, Xiaochen exhorted for a moment. Tell me about the situation in Heaven Fiend Hall. Although he didn't directly agree, Li Shan couldn't help but feel delighted when he heard this. Since he could say such a thing, it proved that Xiaochen already had the intention to take action. In Li Shan's opinion, 2 kings of the War Ancestor realm should be enough to deal with Heaven Fiend Hall. There shouldn't be too much of a problem. Thinking that he was about to take revenge, Li Shan's eyes revealed a touch of unconcealable excitement. In this regard, Xiaochen reminded him. Don't be so excited. Since Heaven Fiend Hall can become one of the 4 major forces in the East Star Continent, it can't be as simple as it seems on the surface. Tell me about the situation first. Okay. Without thinking too much, Li Shan quickly introduced Heaven Fiend Hall to Xiaochen and the others. After lurking in Heaven Fiend Hall for many years, Li Shan naturally knew the inside of Heaven Fiend Hall very well. First of all, the layout of Heaven Fiend Hall. The entire sphere of influence of Heaven Fiend Hall surrounded the east side of the East Star Continent. It dominated the east side and kept the other 3 major forces in check and balance. In addition to the main hall, Heaven Fiend Hall had 36 branch halls, just like the branch hall in the city. The weakest of the branch hall masters was at the ancient era's complete realm. There were even branch hall masters in several major cities who were at the divine ancestor realm. There was no need to worry too much about the strength of the branch halls. With Xiaochen and the others' abilities, they could easily annihilate them. The main hall was the most noteworthy. The main hall of Heaven Fiend Hall was located in Heaven City, which was also the core of the entire East Star Continent. Not only was it the largest city, but it was also the city with the most experts. The entire Heaven City was under the control of Heaven Fiend Hall. Speaking of the main hall, compared to the branch halls, the strength of the branch halls was not just a little bit stronger. There were more than 1 million members of Heaven Fiend Hall in the main hall. Their cultivation levels varied, and the strength of the experts was not weaker than that of the branch hall masters. Secondly, there were 8 elders in the main hall, each of whom was at the divine ancestor realm. Above the 8 elders, there was the chief hall master and 2 deputy hall masters, whose cultivation levels had reached the divine ancestor realm. As for the chief hall master, Lu Jun, he had reached the half-step combat ancestor realm. His strength was ridiculously strong. In general, the strength of Heaven Fiend Hall could not be underestimated. Even in the East region, it was a huge force second only to Emperor Dong's palace. Is there a combat ancestor realm king in Heaven Fiend Hall? After listening to Li Shan's explanation, Xiaochen asked. To Xiaochen, the half-step combat Ancestor Realm King was not a real threat. The only thing that made Xiaochen feel threatened was the combat Ancestor Realm King. Whether there was a hidden combat Ancestor Realm King in Heaven Fiend Hall was crucial. Unfortunately, in the face of Xiao Chen's inquiry, Li Shan could not give a definite answer. I don't know. It is said that there is a combat Ancestor Realm King in Heaven Fiend Hall. It is a pity that I have not seen this person after joining Heaven Fiend Hall for so many years, so I cannot confirm the accuracy of the information. He could not confirm whether there was a combat Ancestor Realm King in Heaven Fiend Hall. Hearing this, Xiaochen did not say anything more. In fact, Li Shan could not be blamed. Although he was now the branch hall master of Heaven Fiend Hall, it was understandable that he did not know about these secrets. What's the plan? You have been preparing for so long. You should have a plan, right? Yes. In response, Li Shan nodded without hesitation. After preparing for so long for revenge and hiding in Heaven Fiend Hall, how could Li Shan not have a plan? He bluntly told Xiao Chen and the others about his plan. According to Li Shan, in a month's time, it would be Lu Jun's birthday. Lu Jun was a person who rejoiced in grandiose achievements and was very particular about ostentation. Therefore, every time Lu Jun's birthday was a feast for everyone in Heaven Fiend Hall. That was also the time when the headquarters defenses were the most lax. According to Li Shan's idea, taking action on that day was definitely the best choice. They could directly enter the headquarters and suddenly attack, catching Lu Jun off guard. They could directly destroy the entire Heaven Fiend Hall. Begging for collection, begging for monthly votes, begging for recommendations. Chapter 30-13. Li Shan had been hiding in the Heaven Fiend Hall for so many years, so he naturally had a plan. Otherwise, he would have lived in vain. Li Shan had determined from a long time ago that Lu Jun's birthday was the easiest time to make a move. Although the number of experts in the main hall was the highest at that time, it was also because of this that the defenses were the most lax. Otherwise, under normal circumstances, let alone making a move, it was hard to say whether or not they could safely enter the main hall. As one of the four major forces in the East Star Continent, the main hall of the Heaven Fiend Hall was naturally heavily guarded. There were more than 100 formations alone. Moreover, many of these formations were of very high grades and were the foundation of the Heaven Fiend Hall. Even for a warlord of the Warlord realm, it was not easy to enter the Heaven Fiend Hall. Therefore, if one wanted to make a move on the Heaven Fiend Hall under normal circumstances, it was undoubtedly the same as seeking death. There was no chance of success. Only during Lu Jun's birthday would there be a chance. Lu Jun was a person who liked grandiose achievements and was especially particular about the occasion. Therefore, every time his birthday was extraordinary, it could be said to be very lively. With so many people going to the Heaven Fiend Hall to celebrate his birthday, there was no doubt that many of the formations had to be closed. This gave Li Shan the opportunity. Without the obstruction of the formations, Li Shan could easily arrange for people to sneak into the Heaven Fiend Hall. As for the number of experts in the Heaven Fiend Hall, there were some who were willing to sacrifice and some who were willing to sacrifice. However, if they were unprepared and launched a sudden attack, the success rate was obviously much higher than usual. He truthfully told Xiao Chen and the others what he was thinking. If he had not met Xiao Chen and the others, Li Shan would definitely have continued to lurk because he did not have the ability to do so alone. Moreover, at the beginning, Li Shan only wanted to rope in Xiao Chen and the others, hoping to get more help. However, after confirming that Xiao Chen and Lin Yun were both Warlord Realm experts, Li Shan quickly changed his mind. The two Warlord Realm experts gave Li Shan hope of success. That was why Li Shan told them everything he knew. Yanran had already placed her life in the hands of Xiao Chen. After hearing Li Shan's explanation, Xiao Chen smiled with great interest. Aren't you afraid that we'll reject you if you tell us all this? Moreover, if we inform Heaven Fiend Hall of this news, I reckon we will be able to gain a lot of benefits, right? These words were not false at all. Moreover, from the beginning to the end, Xiao Chen and the others did not promise Lu Jun anything, nor did they make any promises. In other words, before the two sides reached any agreement, Li Shan had already revealed everything. Right now, it could be said that he had no way out. Even if Xiao Chen and the others wanted to kill him, it would be a piece of cake. However, after hearing Xiao Chen's words, Li Shan wasn't nervous at all. On the contrary, he said with a relaxed expression, "I know that I don't have the right to negotiate terms in front of the two seniors. As the warlord of the War Ancestor realm, it's up to you whether to help me or not. As for me, all I can do is to tell you everything I know. If you're not willing, I have nothing to say. As for the matter of informing, you must be joking. If you have the intention, why did you have to inform Heaven Fiend Hall? You could have easily executed me. Besides, I don't have much time left. Before I die, I only want to avenge my family. Other than that, I have no other thoughts." Li Shan said seriously. He really had no other choice. As for the reward that Xiao Chen had mentioned, Li Shan didn't even mention it. This was because from the beginning, Li Shan had said that as long as Xiao Chen and the others were willing, after the matter was over, everything in Heaven Fiend Hall would belong to Xiao Chen and the others. Li Shan didn't want anything. Moreover, he would give the Buddha's bone Saraira to Xiao Chen and the others. After stating all the conditions that he could offer, Li Shan had no more bargaining chips. Therefore, what happened next would depend on Xiao Chen and the others' own choice. Hearing Li Shan's words, Xiao Chen's expression didn't change. Xiao Chen had already seen through Li Shan's words about his dying days. Although Xiao Chen wasn't proficient in medical skills, he still had a good eye. Now, in Li Shan's body, the aura of the evil cultivation method and the aura of the Buddha's bone Saraira had been entangled with each other for many years. Half of the veins in his body had reached their limits. Even his primordial spirit had been corroded, and dense cracks had appeared. This was because Li Shan had been cultivating the evil cultivation method for many years. To be honest, it wasn't easy for Li Shan to be able to hold on until now. According to Xiao Chen's estimation, Li Shan would definitely die in another 10 years at most. Even Daluo immortals wouldn't be able to save him. Perhaps it was because of this that Li Shan was so desperate to take revenge. Because this was his life's pursuit. For this, he had given up everything, even his own life, from the moment his family had been destroyed. In Li Shan's life, there was probably only the word revenge left. If he didn't succeed in the end, then Li Shan would probably die with grievances. Therefore, he had taken out all the things that he could take out in exchange for Xiao Chen and the others to help him once. Logically speaking, it wasn't worth it to offend a huge entity like the Heaven Fiend Hall for such a reason. As for the Buddha's bone Saraira, if Xiao Chen and the others wanted it, they could just snatch it. It didn't matter. However, looking at Li Shan's determined and somewhat nervous expression, Xiao Chen's heart was slightly moved. This was a person who had lived his entire life for revenge. Think about it, for a person to hide among his enemies for so many years. How much pain must he have endured? Not only did Li Shan do it, but he also didn't back down. This kind of character made Xiao Chen feel a little moved. Since that was the case, why not help him? The Heaven Fiend Hall might be an existence that couldn't be provoked in the eyes of others, but in Xiao Chen's eyes, it was nothing. Not to mention that he wasn't sure if the Heaven Fiend Hall had a combat Ancestor Realm King. Even if there was, what could a mere combat Ancestor Realm King do? That's right. In Xiao Chen's opinion, even if there was a combat Ancestor Realm King in the Heaven Fiend Hall, he should be an old monster whose lifespan was almost exhausted and who had lived for who knew how long. Otherwise, it would be impossible for him to not show up. He should have used some kind of secret technique to seal himself in order to live for a longer time. This kind of old thing couldn't be compared to Xiao Chen and Lin Yun at all. After all, one was a lamp that had run out of oil, while the other was in the prime of his life. The difference was obvious at a glance. Looking at Li Shan faintly, Xiao Chen finally spoke. According to what we said before, I will help you destroy the Heaven Fiend Hall. begging for your collection, begging for monthly votes, begging for recommendations. Chapter 32:14. Upon hearing Xiao Chen's words, Li Shan was overjoyed. With the help of 2 Warlord Realm warriors, he would be able to get his revenge. He bent his knees and knelt down in front of Xiao Chen. However, before Li Shan could say anything, Xiao Chen interrupted him. There's no need for that. This is just a deal. Moreover, we will only attack the main hall. As for the other branches, I think you should be able to handle them with your ability. Li Shan had been planning his revenge for so many years. It was impossible for him not to have made any preparations. He definitely had the foundation that he should have. Moreover, Heaven Fiend Hall was the overlord of the East Star Continent. In addition to the main hall, there were dozens of other branches in various places in the east. If he had to destroy them one by one, it would be too troublesome. Therefore, Xiao Chen only planned to attack the main hall. As long as the main hall of Heaven Fiend Hall was destroyed, the remaining branches would not be a problem. Upon hearing this, Li Shan did not hesitate at all and immediately nodded in agreement. Thank you, Senior. As long as the main hall was destroyed, Li Shan was confident that he could destroy the other branches personally. After all, almost all the experts of Heaven Fiend Hall were gathered in the main hall. As for the branches, the strongest was only at the Divine Ancestor realm. There were only a few of them. Well, according to our agreement, everything in the main hall will belong to us, including the Buddha Bone Relic on you. Okay. Li Shan agreed without hesitation and handed the Buddha Bone Relic to Xiao Chen on the spot. He did not refuse and threw the Buddha Bone Relic to Tyrant without thinking much. Although the Buddha Bone Relic was a good thing, it was obviously more important to Tyrant. If others obtained the Buddha Bone Relic, it would at most increase their combat strength. However, the monk was a Buddhist. Although he was a monk who drank meat and drank wine, he was very proficient in the Buddhist Dharma. Therefore, the Buddha Bone Relic was the most suitable for him. With the Buddha Bone Relic, even if there were no other treasures, Tyrant was confident that he could break through to the Divine Ancestor realm. No one present had any objections to Lin Yun handing the Buddha Bone Relic to the monk. Everyone was as close as brothers to begin with. In the face of such a treasure, it was obviously impossible for them to have any other thoughts. You guys go to the Heaven Fiend Hall first. Brother Xiao Chen and I will be there shortly. Since they were already prepared to make a move, there was no need to waste any more time. As for Li Shan's suggestion of making a move during Lord Lu's birthday, Li Shan had said that he would make a move. Xiao Chen and Lin Yun didn't care from the beginning to the end. If they had enough strength, why would they care about these things? Anyway, no matter when, Xiao Chen and Lin Yun had absolute confidence that they could destroy the Heaven Fiend Hall. There was no need to wait until Lu Jun's birthday. Alright. Hearing this, Lin Yuan, Long Qing, and the others didn't say anything and directly nodded in agreement. As for Xiao Chen and Lin Yun, they stayed behind to deal with Li Shan's matter. Li Shan had given the Buddha Bone Relic to the monk. In this way, there was no way to continue suppressing the evil cultivation technique in his body. Next, he still needed some time to take revenge. Therefore, Xiao Chen and Lin Yun naturally needed to help him suppress it. At least, they couldn't let the evil cultivation technique devour his mind. After resting in the city for a night, Lin Yuan, Long Qing, and the others left early the next morning. Xiao Chen, Lin Yun, and Li Shan went to a secret room. Without the Buddha Bone Relic, the evil cultivation technique in your body can no longer be suppressed. Although the two of us can indeed help you suppress it for a period of time, it will definitely not be as perfect as the Buddha Bone Relic. At most, 5 years. This is the limit that the two of us can do. Xiao Chen looked calmly at Li Shan and said truthfully. The evil cultivation technique was too evil. Even if the two Battle Ancestor Realm Kings, Xiao Chen and Lin Yun, took action, they could at most suppress Li Shan for 5 years. After 5 years, regardless of whether Li Shan's mind would be devoured by the evil cultivation technique, he would definitely die. At that time, the evil aura that had accumulated for 5 years would explode. Li Shan's body wouldn't be able to withstand it. He told Li Shan this in advance. Regarding this, Li Shan laughed straightforwardly. 5 years? That's enough. Thank you, senior. To Li Shan, 5 years or 100 years didn't make a difference. As long as he could take revenge, even if he only lived for a day, he would feel that he had profited. Hearing this, Xiaochen nodded and then asked Li Shan to sit on a futon. Relax your mind. Don't resist at any time. Otherwise, all our previous efforts will be wasted. Xiaochen sat cross-legged on either side of Li Shan and said. Then, the two of them simultaneously injected their spiritual energy into Li Shan's body. The spiritual energy of the two battle kings was enormous. As soon as it entered Li Shan's body, Li Shan's expression became somewhat painful. A swelling pain came from all the meridians in his body. It was as if Li Shan's entire body was about to explode. However, because of Xiaochen's reminder, Li Shan didn't dare to resist at all. Xiaochen and Lin Yun also tried their best to control their spiritual energy to prevent it from hurting Li Shan. Spiritual energy continuously flowed into Li Shan's dantian. Then, 2 streams of spiritual energy firmly protected his dantian. Moreover, the rest of the spiritual energy also firmly protected Li Shan's soul. This spiritual energy was to prevent the corrosion of the evil cultivation technique. Within 5 years, Li Shan didn't have to worry about the evil cultivation technique. Only the War Ancestor Realm King could do such a thing. Of course, in the end, this was only a temporary solution. When the time was up, not only would it not be able to suppress the evil cultivation technique, it would even lead to a backlash. Therefore, Xiaochen told Li Shan at the beginning that he only had 5 years. After 5 years, once their spiritual energy dissipated, Li Shan would undoubtedly die even if he was a Divine Ancestor Realm expert. It took an entire day to complete all of this. Slowly opening his eyes, Li Shan felt the changes in his body. Not only did he not have to worry about the evil cultivation technique, Li Shan even felt that his strength seemed to have increased. In fact, this was indeed the case. With the protection of Xiaochen and Lin Yun's spiritual energy, Li Shan's strength did indeed increase a little, but it was almost negligible. It was more because Li Shan's own condition had improved that he felt this way. Amazing. I feel much stronger than before. Thank you, senior. Li Shan was overjoyed that he had become stronger. However, Xiaochen said indifferently. This is only temporary. To put it bluntly, it's just like a person's final radiance before death. No matter how good you feel now, when the energy in your body completely erupts, you'll die miserably. At that time, even a ruler won't be able to save your life. He didn't hide anything. Of course, this was the truth, and Xiaochen didn't hide anything from Li Shan. Begging for collection, begging for monthly votes, begging for recommendation. Chapter 32:15. 5 years later, Li Shan would definitely die. Li Shan did not have much of a reaction to Xiaochen's words. He thanked Xiaochen and Lin Yun. Xiaochen waved his hand. All right, since that's the case, the two of us will leave first. Just wait for the news. Lin Yuan, Long Qing, and the others had already rushed to Heaven Fiend Hall. Xiaochen and Lin Yun were also preparing to leave. After all, there were many Divine Ancestor Realm experts in Heaven Fiend Hall. Long Qing, Lin Yuan, and the others were still unable to contend with them. In response, Li Shan bowed respectfully. Thank you, seniors. Thank you. Without staying any longer, Xiaochen and Lin Yun immediately left the city. No one knew that in a few days, a great battle that would shake the entire East Star continent was about to erupt. The Heaven Fiend Hall was still bustling with noise and excitement. There was no vigilance at all. It was no wonder. As one of the 4 major forces in the East Star continent, Heaven Fiend Hall did not think that anyone would come here to cause trouble. Moreover, there were countless experts in the Heaven Fiend Hall. It had been hundreds of years since the Heaven Fiend Hall had been attacked. If there was a ranking of the safest places in the East Star Continent, Heaven Fiend Hall would definitely be at the top. In their own headquarters, naturally, no one felt that there was any danger. Hence, as usual, the members of the Heaven Fiend Hall continued to cultivate and complete their tasks. Everyone acted as usual. In the core area of Heaven Fiend Hall, Lu Jun, who was dressed in black, was sitting cross-legged with his eyes closed. He looked like he was cultivating. There was a thin layer of sweat on his forehead and the aura around him had become somewhat unstable. If someone was present, it would not be difficult to see that Lu Jun was obviously trying to break through to the War Ancestor realm. However, judging from his condition, it would be difficult for him to break through to the War Ancestor realm. No matter how one looked at it, there was still a gap between Lu Jun and the War Ancestor realm. The War Ancestor realm was not that easy to break through. If not for that, how could the Fire Phoenix Galaxy only have so few War Ancestor realm kings? If Lu Jun were to forcefully break through, he would definitely be severely injured. Lu Jun was clearly aware of this. Furthermore, this was not the first time he had attempted to break through to the Combat Ancestor realm. It could be said that for the past 100 years, the thing that Lu Jun was most concerned about was breaking through to the Combat Ancestor realm. As long as he succeeded, the difference would be like heaven and earth. They would be completely different. Unfortunately, after more than 100 years of hard work, after exhausting countless natural treasures, and countless efforts, they all ended in failure. It could not be forced, and it was not something that could be made up for with any sort of heavenly and earthly treasures. This was also the most difficult part of breaking through the War Ancestor realm. If one wanted to break through the War Ancestor realm, this was no longer something that could be affected by the amount of cultivation resources. Without sufficient foundation and accumulation, as well as a certain amount of luck, it was impossible to break through the War Ancestor realm. Several hours later, Lu Jun finally opened his eyes. The sky was gradually turning dark. The two suns were deep, but they revealed a hint of helplessness. It was obvious that Lu Jun was not too angry about this failure, because he was already used to it. However, he was still unable to succeed. This made Lu Jun a little speechless. Was his talent really that bad? It's still a problem of accumulation. What kind of accumulation and foundation does the War Ancestor realm need? At his level, it could be said that he was only half a step away from the War Ancestor realm. Lu Jun himself could feel that it was because of his own foundation and accumulation that he was unable to take this half a step. But what kind of foundation was needed? In the past 100 years, Lu Jun could be said to have used all kinds of methods to increase his foundation and accumulation, but it was still not enough. Just as Lu Jun was feeling helpless, a terrifying pressure suddenly came from the outside world. Then, as if something had struck the ground, it instantly caused a huge tremor. The house couldn't help but shake. However, because of the protection of the formation, it wasn't too affected. Originally, he was still thinking about breaking through to the War Ancestor realm, but when he suddenly felt this change, Lu Jun's face darkened. "Men. Hall Master. Go and see what's happening outside." This was the main hall of the Heaven Fiend Hall. Why would there be such a sudden tremor? Yes. Hearing Lu Jun's order, the man quickly retreated. At the same time, outside the main hall of the Heaven Fiend Hall, Lin Yuan, Long Qing, and the others didn't waste any time and directly started to attack the formation. As the main hall of the Heaven Fiend Hall, naturally, there were many formations protecting it. Xiao Chen's plan was very simple. They would directly attack, destroy the Heaven Fiend Hall, and kill Lu Jun. If they were strong enough, they could naturally do whatever they wanted. There was no need for any schemes. Schemes could only be used when both sides were equal in strength or when one side was at a disadvantage. With an absolute advantage, there was no need to use these fancy things. Someone attacked the great formation of the Heaven Fiend Hall with great fanfare. This naturally attracted the attention of many experts in the Heaven Fiend Hall. However, at the beginning, the real experts definitely wouldn't show themselves. Those who came out were some ordinary members of the Heaven Fiend Hall or the Deacons. Their cultivation was about the level of a world lord or an ancient spirit. Those divine ancestor realm experts definitely wouldn't come out at this time. After all, it wasn't worth their attention. Just like Lu Jun, when he learned that someone was attacking the formation of the Heaven Fiend Hall, he only said with a cold face, "They are really courting death." In his opinion, this group of people who dared to attack the main hall of the Heaven Fiend Hall were courting death. However, he didn't intend to do anything from the beginning to the end. As the Hall Master of the Heaven Fiend Hall, if Lu Jun had to personally come out for everything, it would be too embarrassing. Deal with it as soon as possible. Therefore, after his voice fell, Lu Jun only said one sentence coldly. Then, he slowly closed his eyes again. Perhaps in Lu Jun's opinion, these people who were courting death would be dealt with by his subordinates. However, he didn't know that the Heaven Fiend Hall was now facing imminent disaster. The ones who attacked them were two warring ancestor realm kings. If Lu Jun knew this, he definitely wouldn't be as calm as he was now. Lu Jun, who had long been pursuing a breakthrough to the warring ancestor realm, knew how terrifying a warring ancestor realm king was. One warring ancestor realm king was enough to make the Heaven Fiend Hall suffer. Moreover, there were two warring ancestor realm kings attacking together. Ordinary members of the Heaven Fiend Hall simply couldn't stop Xiao Chen and the others. Even if Lu Jun personally took action, he definitely wouldn't be a match for Xiao Chen and the others. Begging for collection, begging for monthly votes, begging for recommendations. You're tuning into the Mythic Realms YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.